So for people who don't know you, like to me, you're a local awesome person. So tell me about how did you get to Northeast? Like what bet did you lose to get to Northeast PA?
It's a great story.
Tell me.
Is. Bob got a job offer here, and we were in the midst of having 2 children in college. We owned the property that we lived in, and we owned another property. And he said, I got to take this job. It's too good to not take. And I said, and where is this place? And he said, Scranton, Pennsylvania. So I looked up Scranton, Pennsylvania. And
what year is this?
This was
before The Office.
Way before The Office.
I thought you were going to say before America.
Well,
before 1776.
they actually built the Trip House.
I think it was.
Yeah,
he was a Rhode Island.
You did a great job. You did a great job.
Thank you. I think it was 1992.
Okay.
And I read it was the city where coal was king, and all I could think of was the European cities that were covered in soot with coal. So that's what I expected.
Yeah, it looked like Mary Poppins on the rooftops.
Yeah. So
chimney.
I came down to visit because he had already come down for the job, and I said, "Oh no, this city's really cute. This is not at all what I expected." And eventually the kids graduated and the houses got sold, and I moved down full time in 94. And the first thing I did was I looked up all the theater companies because.
Were you doing theater in Rhode Island?
Oh yeah, I ran a huge theater company in Rhode Island. Yeah.
Okay.
A traditional theater,
Yeah, I didn't know about any of this. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I did, I think
we'll get to you, Max, but she's fascinating. Yeah.
25 years with them. And then, I left them. And so I knew that the way to find people like yourself was to find the theater. So I started going to all the performances, and after the show, I would go up and I'd introduce myself, and I waited for people to call, and nobody called me.
Isn't that weird?
I sent out, when you think about it, it's silly, but I sent out a resume, a cover letter to all the theater companies.
And nobody called you back?
Nobody responded to me. And I thought, okay, I guess I'm never going to be in theater again. And I finally got asked to direct a show at Showcase, which is no longer in existence, in Exeter. And Louis Bizignani, bless his soul, was in the audience. And at the intermission, he said to me, in only that Louis voice, so Paige. I went, yeah. He goes, come and direct for me. And I went, well, I sent you a
resume,
a cover letter. He goes, we don't read those things.
Oh, good.
No one does.
Oh, good.
So he said,
I learned that when I lived in LA. I'm like, oh, nobody cares.
Nope.
No one cares.
Yeah.
They don't even say
It's
I
a
don't
formality.
care.
Yeah.
Yep. So he
it's
said,
just so you know that you're not a psycho. Like I think that's
Not even that.
You think so?
I think it's just a formality. I think it's like I think anymore it's like
paying the ticket,
like a liability thing, right? Like you got to have some kind of application process for everything, right? Or you got to have something down on paper somewhere. But genuinely, I mean, yeah, you can't get a job anywhere without knowing somebody somewhere, right? Like
that's all it was.
It's particularly pronounced around here, but it's affectionately called nepotism. I
call it that too.
Yeah, it's just like the high school that I graduated from. If you didn't have one of 6 last names, or were an in-law or a cousin of one of those families, like you weren't getting hired, and that's at the public school where
oh, totally,
your credentials have nothing to do with that, right? Like your credentials go through state-run programs and blah, 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 blah. And like there's laws and this and that and the other thing. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry. Nope. They shuttered a whole curriculum there because they were like, oh, we can't find somebody with the correct credentials. An alumnus of the school, the best man at my wedding, the best man at his wedding, known each other since 3rd grade. He graduated with the exact certifications that they wanted and the program, and could have picked the program up, but like they didn't want to hire him. They wanted to hire someone else. So
what program is this?
Latin. They didn't teach Latin there anymore. Which, like, they had the enrollment numbers.
I was terrible at it.
Going. Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, me too.
But it is like the source of many languages.
I did better at that than the 4 semesters of college German that I failed. But, you learn a lot when you're 20 about how to not exist in the world. And then you move on and you grow up and you do better later.
Wait, where'd you go to college?
For my undergraduate degree, I went to Mansfield, so
Okay.
not too far down the street.
All right. So we were at Resumes.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
But he's totally right. Like there are these gatekeepers that are
You gotta
everywhere.
know someone.
Yeah.
And he said, and he was with John Ringkamp. Those are the gentlemen that actually formed Actors Circle. And they said,
So wait, this is 1994-ish?
this is, I think, 93, because I was traveling back and forth from Rhode Island
Were you born yet, Max?
to direct.
You look young. You look young.
You are maybe the first person that's accused me of being younger than I am. All of my students think I'm 10 to 20 years older than I am because
Well, yeah,
of the
because,
graying in the
because they're
hair.
little kids.
Well, because there's graying in the hair, and they see a little bit of gray, and they're like, 50.
What year did you graduate?
High school? Oh,
Yeah. 08?
Yeah, so I was born in the very
He
late
was
80s.
he was like 3 years old when you moved here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, keep going. It's
You-
nice to
I
it's nice to
wasn't
see you
gonna-
guys working together.
I wasn't going to point it out.
I need to have
One
a-
of us is rude and one of us isn't, Paige. I'll let you
So anyway, they said, pick a show, come on down, and we'll do it. And I thought, I had no frame of reference for this kind of action. It was, usually you wrote a proposal, you sent it in.
Right.
Well, there was none of that. I went down and I said, well, I would like to do
It's like a handshake.
yeah, this, and this. Okay, fine, do it.
I mean, that's got to be liberating in a way.
It was
It's terrifying in one respect
was
because you're like, oh,
scary.
there is no structure here. But in
It was
another
scary.
way, it's like we could do whatever we want
Well,
within reason.
But you have to do it first. Like it's not the first glance at that is not a liberating glance. You got to go through a round or
scary.
two of that to realize
Yeah.
that there is freedom there. Like without restrictions can create some of the best creativity.
Absolutely.
out there, right?
Yeah.
And then
That's
when
why
you're
Jaws
given,
works.
right? And
Yeah.
that's when you're given a completely blank canvas until you really can see the no lines as help as opposed to a hindrance, you do worse and you are more anxious and everything you take more carefully and you are more self-critical because the external barriers aren't there, right? So when the external barriers are there, you go, you know what? I'm just going to try it. And then something outside of you, if it's bad, will go, hey, no. And if you don't have that, then you have to be the person who is self-limiting and self-editing and self-criticizing because you have to be the person who's in charge of what ends up out there in front of people.
So when these situations happen, do you guys think about like, because one of the biggest mistakes that I would make when I was like, because I lived in Hollywood, I did all that shit, and that's how I met Paige.
that's right.
But like, there's this thing where like, it's almost like a barrier where it was like, oh, I have to like do my art and blah, blah, blah. But then at the end of the day, like you have to think to yourself that like, this has to be consumable.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, like people have to enjoy it or buy a ticket
Yep.
or whatever. And
Yep.
sometimes like, I hate to say the commerce of it, but the commerce of it comes into play. And a lot of artists, in my experience, disregard that for whatever reason.
It's a very fine line that we walk as artists.
Because like if you don't do well,
Yeah.
there is no it's
no
harder for the next, it's way harder for the next
Yeah,
one.
you don't get the next gig. That's
Right.
just the way it goes.
Was that something that you did you realize that in Rhode Island, or is that something that like
In Rhode Island, I was fortunate enough to start off as an actor, and I learned the craft from very learned people. So I had that gift. When I was asked to start directing, I turned them down. I said, I don't think I'm qualified. I don't think I'm ready. And finally, they convinced me, and the very first show I directed, I thought, oh, yeah, I get it. And because some actors go into directing and they do well, other actors go into directing and realize that this is not for them. I was one of the fortunate ones, or maybe unfortunate, I'm not sure, that I fell into it easily. So I enjoyed it, which you have to do. You have to like it.
yeah.
You can't be shoving people all over the stage and demanding things that you need to have done, and they're not understanding what you're getting. So you have to be a communicator.
Well, I mean, so I work with politicians, like I do like political campaigns and stuff like that. And one of the most frustrating things for me is like like on the inside, you know the truth.
Yes.
And then the criticisms come and you're like, oh, you don't really know. And I try to explain to people, and I don't know if this is an appropriate metaphor, but I was like, there's a big difference being at the basketball game, yelling at the refs and the players than being on the court. And the whole world changes.
Totally.
Because the responsibilities change.
Absolutely.
Yeah, once you have skin in the game, the way you approach the game is different, right? So,
I don't mean to cut you off. I'm just trying to bring this up to be like one of the biggest complaints I had about like artists and actors and everything was like they didn't. There was always like this pushback against, you know, the corporate machine and you guys are trying to control my art and all that stuff. And it's like, but at the end of the day, somebody's got to pay for it. You know what I mean? Like you can do art in the middle of the woods with your friend. You can do plays in the middle of the woods with your friends, but you know, and the squirrels might be happy, but I'm probably sure you brought some nuts for them.
But I have to tell you, and I've said this to many, many young people.
And I'm not saying this to be disparaging. I'm just saying,
when
it's real,
it's okay. You can be the artist that you want to be, but you have to make the decision at some point in your life. Do I kind of take a step back and do what I'm asked to do so that I can have a meal tomorrow or a roof over my head? Because if this is what you've chosen to do with your life, you have to eat and you have to have a roof over your head. I'm not saying that you do everything that is asked of you. That is ridiculous. You can keep your moral compass.
Yeah.
But you have to be a little more flexible.
Well, it's like, you know what it is? It's like, so like Spielberg's releasing a movie this week, and you know, for some reason they're talking about I think it was 1993 where he produced both. He directed both Jurassic Park and Schindler's List. And you know, you look at a film like Schindler's List and you go like, I don't think Ray Fiennes is a Nazi. You know, but like morally, that's probably something reprehensible to him, and yet he was nominated for an Academy Award for it. Like, is that like? Yeah. It seems like people are afraid now to like take those roles or to.
Legitimately, it's funny that you bring up that as an example because you know, not only am I on the production side of the show, but I got strong-armed into being in the show.
It's amazing how much she can accomplish at being like 3'2"
and
3'4".
Yeah.
There is a gentleman from the Deep South, and his whole thing is he's opposed to the Declaration of Independence, the draft that we get at the beginning of the process, because it specifically indicts the practice of chattel slavery. And he's like, that's my purse strings. Like that's the way.
So it says this is bad.
And we absolutely cannot have that, you know, outlawed in there. And I just keep telling myself, you know, it's Leo in Django. It's and Ray Fiennes in Schindler's List is another great example. Is that like, you know, there are real villains in real stories in real history, and if you were going to at all dramatize that, then it would be dishonest to not include somebody who is that way, and it would be dishonest to the story. Because it would be dishonest to the story and the account, somebody's got to do that, right? And it's part of telling the overall narrative. Like nobody wants to be a villain. Everybody loves being loved, right? Everybody loves being loved.
Right.
It's just a part of being a human being. But, you know, when you have to accomplish something and say something and whatever, you know, that often requires that, you know, you approach something that is distasteful and sad and scary to, you know, have your face be attached to the words and the mannerisms and the message and, you know, even understand, I mean, not even to bring up, you know, the way media literacy is in the macro culture now, which is in the toilet. I feel like we need to have a big like blinking light that just says, remember, bad. This guy's bad, right? Like, you know, but, you know, even all that aside, you know, somebody's got to do it because otherwise there's no struggle to depict.
And we have to serve this material.
Yes.
This character and this musical, yes. Today, we look at this character and we say, oh, this is terrible. He's a rotten human being. How could they do this? But his song explains why he is opposed, and that it's not just the southern states that are guilty. it's the northern states also. And he explains in the song how they're all connected.
Yeah, he's not like a mustache twirling
Right.
caricature
And it's a
of a
tough
person.
Well, so let me ask you this, because I've always wondered this, is that like, so as a performer, like as an actor, right? And you want to embody this person as, because it's always supposed to be, art is supposed to be, to me, it's always supposed to be to tell truths.
Absolutely.
Right. And make you think.
Absolutely.
Right. And you might not agree with like what it says, but it makes you think. And so how do you get into that and be honest without being biased?
Yeah, there's there's cliches about that, like, everybody's the hero of their own story or blah, 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 blah. Really what it comes down to is like people's baseline assumptions in their lives, inform their world choices. There's a gentleman I heard say, personality predates ideology. So like before you were a fascist, you were a bully, that kind of thing. And it's really true to an extent that like the way that a person expresses, for example, something as complex as a political belief or some kind of, stance like that is really based on like what their life experience has led them to at this point. So now this character is Edward Rutledge from South Carolina. He's 26 years old and he's, rich and, and so, what kind of struggles has this person had to deal with? None, right? Like everything is a matter of, increasing wealth and, he's a benefactor of the system that he's defending, right? So he's never had an experience of like, having a sad thought about the practice of chattel slavery. So why would it ever occur to him that there is a moral problem,
right?
Or that the moral problem is worth, weighted consideration as opposed to just like, oh, that's just that crap that those people who don't understand it think. And like, they don't know what it's about. Right. So really like when he defends the practice, not with like what we would think of as like villainous monologuery, right? Where he's talking about like, oh, they're less than human. And the song is
like the whole stereotype of it,
right?
That like we grew up on.
He's not, male as dad from To Kill a Mockingbird, right? Like he's not like the poor white in To Kill a Mockingbird that like sets up Tom to be the criminal. He's not like that at all. He's not a stereotype in that way. He's really like a Chamber of Commerce Republican who's like talking about immigration, right? Like it's so dehumanized and dispassionate, dispersonal, and the defense that he gives in his song is like, hey, we make all this money because we sell these products to someone. So who's buying them? You are.
Oh, so like the end user. It's like blood diamonds?
Like who is staffing the ships that sail to Africa? You are, right? Like you don't own slaves, but
he goes after
you participate in this entire system and then pretend like you're better than it. And that's like patently ridiculous. Now it's really gross. It's a really gross piece of music and lyrics, from the perspective of a human person who is observing it. But it's not that kind of like mustache twirling. Like this man is a bad man.
It's not Gargamel.
It's right, exactly. It's not cartoonish. It really comes from a place of like, this is a lived experience of a person who has political opinions based on nothing but his own.
And we find the lyrics uncomfortable.
Correct.
But he is singing the truth.
Correct. Yeah. The great misremembering of American history is that there's no racism north of the Mason-Dixon line.
Right.
Like
Nonsense.
that's one of the greatest, the greatest victory the North won in the Civil War is the expunging of, the way that the North is seen in terms of race relations historically. And this song sort of brings that hypocrisy into focus in a way that's very uncomfortable.
Do you think it's important to be uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, especially when you're talking about,
I think I'm just saying that because I think it's very important to be uncomfortable.
It is totally important. You lose the whole focus of what this show is about and what history happened on these dates. This is part of it. It wasn't all oh, England's the bad guy, we're the good guy. Let's write a paper and it's all over with.
Right.
This was very involved. It was hot and frustrating and long days away. I mean, you couldn't hop in a car or on a plane. You rode horseback or carriage thousands of miles to get to where you needed
There's
to
even
be.
a specific line in the show, one of the Delawareans has to be returned, and it says 80 miles on horseback from Philadelphia to where he lives in Delaware. And like, you're thinking like 80 miles, well, that's however, that's what, 3 hours, 4 hours in a
That's
car.
days, man.
But no, we were talking about days and not comfortable either. Like riding a horse, if you've never ridden a horse,
Not comfortable.
it's not like riding in a car. Like you
see the people go to the Poconos and like 2 hours later, they're like, this is terrible.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. My back's killing me. My butt's numb.
Legitimately.
Yeah.
We were talking sort of at the beginning here, but I grew up in East Jesus nowhere. All of my parents' neighbors are dairy farmers. Like,
Yeah, but you had good food though.
Yeah, we did. No, absolutely. But I tried horse riding and like, man, that's hard. Like on your body, like it's all core muscle. Like you're sitting there just like for however long it is that you're riding the horse.
Yeah.
And you're doing that 80 miles.
Well, I mean, there's people who are unhappy. So my buddy said to me one day, he's from New York. He goes, watch the moment that you hit the border in the roads. And I was like, holy shit, you actually are like less angry when you're on like good roads.
Yes.
And now you go back to 1776 and you're like, how miserable, unhappy was everyone
and people
because they were running on horseback.
And in history, limited discussion of what really went on.
Did your phaser hit stun?
Legitimately. I thought I turned it off. That's my mistake.
These moments are exactly that. Moments that are captured. This went on for years. People sat through and rode.
Yeah, everyone
horses.
thinks like 1776 and like George Washington was the next day, and that's not what it was. It was like a Continental Congress.
And 1776 wasn't the beginning of it either.
Right? No, it was going on for years before that.
Oh, absolutely.
They had Lexington and Concord had happened.
In my backyard.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. Right. As a New Englander, when people say, well, and I go, no, things happened years before that.
Yeah.
There is a reason that 1776 happened, and it started way, way in the early 1770s. You can't not take a look at that history. And this is a snapshot in time.
Yeah, that's all you're getting. You're getting this.
That's all we're giving you.
It's 12 Angry Men or whatever. It's like just that moment.
In time.
Yeah.
And I mean, legitimately, it's funny that you bring up 12 Angry Men. I don't know. Have you seen this musical either in its film version or whatever?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because there is a lot of like the congressmen are talking to each other and trying to get them to change each other's minds, right? Like, so it like there is open debate depicted. I do a lot of work with my fraternity. And still, even as an elder,
you're a frat guy.
As an elderly man, find me off of Sinfonia Incorporated, Men's Music Fraternity of America. Love it to death.
I never even heard of that.
Yeah, no. But anyway, we do.
We're here to educate.
We do the whole.
It's the only reason I do this.
Robert's Rules of Order and seconding and motioning and blah 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 blah, and like. That stuff can really drag on, and you do a 2-hour meeting of that, and you get out, and you're like, oh my god,
I don't want to do this anytime soon.
Legitimately,
yeah.
And then so these people who make a career out of it, like the fatigue, conversational fatigue, and then let alone they're all living basically out of hotels or apartments or whatever in a city that's not their city because they can't just drive or fly,
right?
And so like these, they reference this more often and more often as the show goes on, just about how it just goes on and on forever. And it's so damn hot and it's this and it's that. And they just all like, nobody's having a good time. And yet they're there doing the work. And that to me is always a much more celebratory depiction of history than like the rah, let's shoot off the fireworks and say, and drink our Bud Lights and be like, like that is, a child's view of the way things happen.
Explosions are fun though. Yes.
Sure. I mean, not in my neighborhood from Memorial Day to Labor Day. I would really love it if.
Remember COVID? Remember when everything was shut down? It was like every day there was a fireworks display everywhere.
You just needed it.
Yeah, it was just, I was there, it was like the summer of 2020 and I'm like, it's July. It was my birthday. I'm like, it's July 3rd at midnight.
Yeah.
And it's 2 houses away. And I'm like, I'm all for it, folks. But
I
my
know.
dog's losing his mind.
Yeah, dogs and little babies don't like it. But I think what is important, and when this Continental Congress was working, and these were dedicated men, where Constitution Hall is located, the buildings on the side of it are not the buildings that were there in 1776.
Right.
In the opening number, they talk about it's so hot and the flies open up the windows. You couldn't open the windows because next door to the hall was a pig farm.
Nice.
They were holding
location.
It was a holding.
They were near a river. It was a great location for a farm to be.
Yep. And it was the holding pens for the pigs to be shipped off or taken or whatever. And you couldn't open the windows because if you've never had the joy of being near a pig farm, there are flies.
Yeah. And it smells like shit.
It kind of does. And it's a very strong aroma.
For being fairly clean animals when left to their own devices, pigs do smell really bad.
They do.
What was the thing? What was the impetus of somebody writing this? Who wrote this? Who wrote this play?
So music and lyrics are by Sherman Edwards, books by Peter Stone. Sherman Edwards was the person who sort of conceptualized the story.
Was this like in the 60s or something?
So it actually, it was the
because what's the movie was the early 70s?
1972, I think, was the
Movie
Bill
was
Daniels
72,
movie.
but it went on Broadway in
into the late
69.
So in some ways, it kind of is a response to the civil rights movement. So it was leading up to the 200th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, and the Civil Rights Act had just been signed into law 7 years, 4 or 5 years prior to the dropping of this show.
Right.
One of the things that this show does that I actually get a little bit annoyed about is they do a lot of work to rehabilitate Thomas Jefferson. They specifically put a line in there about how he's resolved to free his slaves instead of, keep them. And we know the history that happened after that, so it's not super real. But part of the conversation about slavery being so central to especially the second act of the show, has to do with as a sort of direct response to that history and how it was overlooked for a really long time when talking about, the Declaration itself and how it leaves that out as a specific exception inside of the document.
Wait, what part do they leave out?
That it's not mentioned, that it's not, that it didn't explicitly outlaw chattel slavery as all men, including the people that we as individual private citizens now keep as slaves, have the right to be free. And there was an earlier iteration of the draft that included that language. But that is sort of a glaring hole in historical hindsight from today's perspective. But
I listened to this historian, and I forget who it was, but they were talking about that language being included. And they said the reason why it wasn't was because every line had to be unanimous.
Yeah, is
that true?
Kind of the plot of the show.
That's covered.
Right.
Okay.
So that's what a lot of the debate is about. The second act.
So that was right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And he said it was, I think it was North Carolina and Virginia that were the holdouts.
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
So
is it South Carolina and who?
It was
I thought it was two states.
In the show, it was South Carolina. I think the Virginians
because
were
North
fine.
Carolina always went along with whatever South Carolina wanted.
Yeah.
When the vote came up, their line was, I defer to South Carolina.
Okay.
So that was that. And Virginia was...
In the real history, Virginia was fine either way.
Yeah.
I think they would have preferred to keep slavery as an institution just because, tobacco plantations were a big
Philip Morris.
maker.
Yeah.
Who now owns all the food companies.
My recollection is that they would not have... It wasn't the thing that was going to break their support for independence if it wasn't included, but they were happy to have the conversation and try to keep slavery as a practice. Ended up ultimately being successful. But yes, the vote on approving the Declaration as written had to be unanimous among all of the delegates.
Right.
The reasoning, given at least in the script for the show, I don't know how closely it mirrors the real language, is that anybody who says no will have to fight for England when
Okay.
war breaks out. And so, there was this idea, at least presented here, that we would be, putting brother against brother, right? Like the language that
'Cause
we
who
talked
wants
about
that?
the Civil War,
Right.
right? Like, and saying, if we let 10 states say yes, let's be independent, and three colonies say no, then those 3 colonies are going to get conscripted by England, and then Americans are going to be shooting Americans, and then what was the point of this whole thing in the first place?
Right.
It's a reasonable line of argument. It ended up being, chips ended up falling where they fell, but
it's
the
a
unanimity question ends up being the main stopping point,
Right.
or not stopping point, but the main challenge to get over in terms of at least the plot of the show.
But the compromise that was needed to get the Declaration signed, as we all know, came back to bite us.
Yep.
And we lost a lot more lives than we did in trying to get away from England.
Yep.
Because 90 years later, there we are in the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then things didn't really get better after that.
Nope.
And then we had to go through I'm old enough to remember all of, not that history, but the history in the 50s and 60s, the Jim Crow laws,
Post-Jim Crow,
the
post-Reconstruction.
whole, white and black drinking fountains and bathrooms and restaurants.
You saw that?
Yes.
Was that in Rhode? That was in Rhode Island?
No.
Oh, okay.
I traveled as a young girl, and one of my stops was Mississippi
Yeah.
in 1965,
Okay.
when the Voting Rights Act was up for everybody to, yes or no and whatever. And there were busloads of what the Southerners.
Wait, you were in Mississippi when they were?
Yes, when they were busing sympathizers down to get people to vote. I have to tell you that left such an impression on me that from...
Wait, can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's not very often I get to be like, wait, you were in Mississippi when this is going on?
As a young girl, I was a baton twirler, not like a majorette in a parade.
Yeah.
We competed all over the United States, and I did a lot of traveling. And the world championships that year were held in Mississippi.
What are the odds of that?
Oxford, Mississippi.
Okay.
I was very excited about going because I had never been to the South.
Uh-huh.
I was there, I think it was almost 2 weeks. There was the preliminary rounds. It's like very much like the Olympics. You have to get through the preliminaries to get to actually compete for the championship and all of that. And what I noticed as a young girl, I was almost 14, that at the Ole Miss, that's where they were held, University of Mississippi, that when you went to the dining hall, all the black kids who waited on the tables lined themselves against a wall, and all the white kids sat at tables.
No, what do you mean? They waited for the white people to be done, or
They waited on us.
okay,
There were no black people seated at any of the tables.
and that was why you're at the
wait
cheer
staff,
competition
restaurant servers.
or the twirling
Yes.
competition.
Yes.
Okay.
We got lost our first day on campus. It's a very big campus.
Uh-huh.
We saw a gentleman doing some gardening, yard work on the campus. And we crossed the street to ask him directions. And he was a black man, and he did not answer us. And someone came out of a building and said, "Excuse me, what are you doing?" And we said, "Well, we're lost and we need directions." He said, "You're not allowed to talk to him.
You're not allowed to.
You are not allowed to talk to him.
Okay.
And he is not allowed to talk to you." And we were escorted away from him.
That's crazy.
One day I was sitting under a tree reading a book. And let's face it, it's like 1965. I'm in a t-shirt and a pair of shorts underneath the tree reading a book. It was a day that I wasn't competing. And I had a woman come up to me from the staff and say,
The staff from Ole Miss.
"Yep. Ladies do not sit under trees improperly dressed. She made me go back in the dorms.
You want to put on a hoop skirt? And
No, I couldn't come back out. She wouldn't let me come back out. But these things, I stopped in a store to buy a soda, I think. And I was with my mom and the gentleman behind the cash register. I said, do you have Coke or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
And he looked at me, he looked at my mother, and as long as I live, this memory will stay with me forever. He reached under the counter, took out a shotgun and put it on the counter, looked at us and said, you have no business being here. Go home, Yankee.
Okay.
I had never been called that Yankee so many times in my life. Like it was a swear word, like it was a bad word.
Yeah, it was like a pejorative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that was my experience in the South.
I ask because my buddy plays music, and like sometimes they'll play around the country. It's like country music and stuff like that. And then he said that they were. I think it was Mississippi. And he goes like,
it was a tough state.
He goes, they still have like the structures from like the open slave markets from like the 1700s still built there. And he's like, it was just really weird to see it, like just to be around. Like, man, what happened here?
Yeah, it was really weird to see a lot of stuff down there. But I did make a friend, a young girl from Canada, who was as appalled as I was at some of this behavior. And what was a joyful experience of competing for the world championship, you brought home other memories but it changed everything for me. My whole outlook on life changed.
But just from that trip?
Just from that trip.
So that was a very profound moment for you?
It was. It will stay with me forever. I can describe that man behind the counter almost
with the shotgun.
Yep. Because I thought that day he would use it.
I mean, that's like the Mississippi burning stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
You see those movies and people go, I said, no, believe me, it's all true. It's true. It was a difficult time.
Man, how do you segue out of that?
Well, what I'm saying is that people, you only get the version of all of this from what you're taught in school.
Right.
If you don't live an experience or you don't take it upon yourself to read more and explore and find things out, then you believe what you're taught, that,
Well, I think there's something to like the experience of it. I think there's something to like going to it. Like when I went to school, there was one teacher, there was only one teacher who did not advocate to immediately go to college. And he was like, you need to like just go see the world to understand.
I agree.
Like
I
what
think
it all is. Like go to an uncomfortable place or like do an uncomfortable thing. I mean, most people leaving the nest, it's uncomfortable anyways.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's what I did it for a few years. And it really, I mean, you get a lot of perspective that I don't think any institution can teach you. I don't think any university can teach it to you.
I think it's cruel to take a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old and say to them, all right, we're going to send you away now. You have to make a decision of what you want to do with the rest of your life. Now, there are some kids that maybe they're ready for that.
Yeah.
But I think if you send them out into the real world, they don't have to leave the country, but have them.
There's a lot of amazing shit in America.
Yes, that can be done and you can help and you get a different perspective.
That was one of the, look, growing up around here, it wasn't really like diverse. But when I went to, film school, it was like, oh, okay. And then everybody, but you know what what I eventually started to notice was that like everybody, it was like, everybody was like the people I knew up here, but just different.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like these characters. It's like, oh, you're kind of like my buddy there. Yeah. You're kind of like, and you meet like all these new people from different places, and you share culture, and you share.
The more you know, the more you realize it's all the same.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that like the intention of, whatever they were trying to do in 1776, because I always tell people, I'm like, July 4th, 1776, or July 5th, 1776 was like a pretty good day. And then after that, it was not really. Like, it's just been trying to slowly digress from there.
Well, no, I think that.
Or do you think like there's a shared identity that we should all.
I think that.
Because of that.
After July 4th, 1776, there was years of work that had to be done. I mean, this was only the Declaration of Independence. This
Right.
wasn't the Constitution. It wasn't the Bill of Rights.
It was the blueprint. It wasn't the building.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It wasn't the
It
building.
wasn't even the blueprint. It was like a mission statement.
It was more
Well,
like a
they-
napkin. It was a
Yeah.
napkin.
Yeah, genuinely.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
At the local bar.
Yeah.
That's really like that.
Yeah.
That is more apt than even the suggestion that there was some kind of grand design in the Declaration itself. The Declaration itself is I mean the best comparison is like a mission statement.
Yeah.
Here's what we think
Yeah.
we should be,
Right.
with no like specificity as to how, on what timeline,
Right.
by what power, using what resources, under what conditions or what restrictions. Like there is none or very very
I mean,
very
think
little of
about
that
it.
even nodded to in the Declaration
Right.
itself. It's
But
1,300 words.
right.
Like it's not. I mean, it's shorter than essays that I wrote in college.
Yeah.
Right. Like genuinely. And you just can't put an entire, you can't put 250 years of wishes into
Yeah.
1,300 words and still also say something.
Yeah.
Right.
So like if there was intentionality in the Declaration itself as to lay out some kind of weird grand design for the future, it was only in the barest, broadest terms of shoulds and should nots, as opposed to hows, whys, whens, whats,
Right.
et cetera.
I think that's true. But you have to give kudos to these people who, let's face it, England, the most powerful nation in the world. At the
Yeah, they're an
time.
empire, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And these 13 tiny little itty bitty fledgling colonies,
hmm
they don't have their own money. They don't have their own army. They don't have their own navy. And they're standing up to the biggest empire in the world.
What would be the equivalent of that today?
I mean, I could name a few things that I think might be in, hot.
Yeah, but like, what
issues,
would
but,
be what would be equivalent to
about,
like standing up to America?
I
if you
know
think
where you're
about
going.
like the Arab Spring from a few years back, or
Like in
Tiananmen
Egypt?
Square.
Tiananmen Square.
How about
Hong Kong trying to
Yep.
divorce itself from China.
Yeah.
Look at, we have things like, Puerto Rico is an American territory, but they don't have statehood, but they have like, they're an outlying territory, right? Like we as in the United States still have outlying territories
do.
that are not granted representation, but they are being taxed and they are being controlled by, U.S. law and
It is a
policy,
tad
right? So, like,
hypocritical.
So yeah, genuinely, right? Like so a modern
Yeah.
equivalent to that today would be like Puerto Rico being like, actually, we're going to be our own country,
And then Puerto Rico
and then
defeating
Puerto Rico
America.
defeating America,
Yeah.
or just like making America too
Right.
annoyed
That's a good
to-
analogy.
right, like
Puerto Rico.
or like
Yeah. That's a good analogy.
yeah. When I think about the American Revolution, I think a lot about the war in Vietnam. They weren't in terms of like how it got carried out, right? Like the resistance in Vietnam was all
You mean a lie?
But I just mean like the resistance.
mean the Gulf of Tonkin?
It was all guerrilla tactics, and it was about just basically shaking off a non-native, occupying military force, and that's sort of how the revolutionaries treated the British Empire. Is we didn't have the numbers to stand across an open field in a musket line and win. They were outnumbered 5-1, 10-1 on any given battle. So guerrilla tactics and choosing time and place and fighting for a cause. That's something
That's
that I
right.
talk about in the show. Is like
That's
having
how they
a
won.
cause. Those are it wasn't the way that we think of the American military now as this behemoth, right? Like
Yeah.
it was a couple of guys with a couple of guns and just a little bit of luck.
think about
and
it,
some
muskets.
good timing, right?
I never understood how thousands of people like years over years are like, all right, we're all going to stand in line and get shot at.
Well, this is what
because
I never
you
understood.
can't aim. You can't aim them. Rifling had.
so you're basically using people as like a scatter gun.
It was from archer lines, right?
Right,
So when you would have an
right.
archer line, every single
line
archer
would
would
stand
boom,
up,
dunk, and
right, and then they
as
step
many
back,
arrows
and then
as
the
hit
next
the
one would
person,
come up, right.
as hit the
Right.
the
What a
but,
dumb way to war.
But like,
Well, but that's
you couldn't
what they
inflict
knew.
mass casualties without lining
Right.
up the archers, right? You couldn't inflict mass casualties without lining up the musketeers.
Yeah, and
you
let's
just couldn't do it.
Let's face it.
I mean, it
let's-
makes sense when you bring the
Yeah.
archery
Yeah.
thing
right,
into it.
Yeah.
Right. But let's take a look at the British military.
The cannon was the
uniform.
trebuchet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So
Man,
the
it took me
British,
all this time to
the
figure that
British
out.
uniform, bright red with a white X
Yeah.
on the front. Well, X marks the spot.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got all the little farmer kids who kill rabbits with their father's musket. They hide behind a tree, and you can pick them right off.
Yeah.
The British had no idea what was going on.
Home field advantage and territory
Absolutely.
and style.
There's like an arrogance to them to be like these.
And you know what?
These colonies, how dare they?
And let's think about it. As Americans, we're pretty arrogant.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a snub your nose in the. Yeah. I'm all right with that.
So yeah, me too, and that's where it came from.
Do you think, so we're coming up on the centennial, whatever the hell they call it.
SemiQuin centennial.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
Well, let me do this. I want to run back to. We ended in 1994, and we went off on a tangent.
Oh.
And I know you probably forgot.
I did. I'm old.
I try to remember this. So can you just? I want you to bring us up to speed on what like the area has been since then for like theater and art.
Sure.
And if you guys have like successes and failures and
sure.
what you know what I mean.
Sure.
Because I knew you were doing like you had the NEPA film office.
Yep.
You had all that stuff. So it wasn't just like theater. It was all these things. Yeah.
And, so before my husband and I opened our own theater here in Scranton, we worked with all the companies.
Mm-hmm.
We got very involved with First Night. And so I did a lot of work with, getting acts to come in and finding venues and setting all that up. That was a lot of fun. You get to meet a lot of great people.
That was a precursor to like First Friday, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So you got to meet a lot of artists who are not theater artists, music, visual artists, so on and so on. So that was really fun. And there was a kind of a renaissance in downtown. That's why First Night really started. There was this whole, what was it called? A whole group of people got together and they formed different segments. It was the early days of Scranton Tomorrow. So there was an arts and culture one, there was a business one, and we all met and we came up with these ideas and we decided we need a First Night. So that's how that started. And
now, most of these things didn't exist prior to like you moving here, right? Yeah.
No.
Okay.
They existed in other cities.
Yeah, but not here.
Not here.
And the activities and the artists were here, but there was no coalescing force.
Right. Yeah.
Officializing.
Everybody did their own little thing. Nobody kind of
Well, I mean, that's kind of like a thing around here, which is weird.
Sure.
Yeah.
Where it's like you get upset about other people's successes.
I could do a whole podcast on that, but
did I say something that was like appropriate?
Yeah.
It always bothered me. So like when I was doing like film stuff and like, this was like early 2010s or something like that. I shared somebody else in town's work.
Mm-hmm.
And they messaged me and they're like, why did you do that? And I'm like, because I thought it was good.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, well, I just never expected you to share that. And I'm like, why would you not expect me to do, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
the way that we have structured.
Maybe that was the thing that I learned when I left here was that like sometimes you celebrate in other people, that you should celebrate in other people's successes.
I'll say one thing. And I tell everyone this that works with me.
There's like a bitterness around here.
Competition is a good thing.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you don't understand that statement, then you better take a step back and start learning.
It goes back to something that we talked about all the way back at the beginning. You were asking.
Finally, you're paying attention. See, Paige?
You were asking about like, keeping your bona fides as an artist versus, paying the bills.
Yeah.
And, we think about those things as mutually exclusive because the arts are underfunded and undersupported in a very structural way, right? So people who are doing art and who want to do art as a way to put meals on their table and keep a roof over their heads understand that the piggy bank is small and getting smaller year after year after year after year. When other people are successful, they see their chances at being a full-time living artist dwindle. And that, it's a hard thing to look at that and have that feeling about it and then not have a little bit of bitterness in your heart or not have that little voice in your head that's going like, I can't believe they got this stupid friggin' show and they did a good job. I'm so mad about it. We could have done a better job. And then the jealousy and the rabbling comes along later. But, if the pie was a little bit bigger or, if the structural supports were there, I think mutual support is often one of those things that like we don't see
Do you mean, what do you mean mutual support? Like everyone's gunning for like the
so
funding
the
or
opposite, right? So like everybody supporting everybody else is something that we don't see because we see support as a limited zero sum thing.
But you're not talking about support, just money. Support.
Correct. But what I'm saying is that
right.
that structural
Right.
lack of resources changes our perspective on community to.
So when you say structural lack of resources, what does that mean?
Grant money for performing arts is dwindling every year. Sort of the spaces to be doing these things in, it's more, everything's more expensive, but it's so much more expensive now to put on these works, in the first place. And when all of that is true, it's hard to look at other people's success in a truly supportive, community-based, we're all going to cheer on each other.
Mm-hmm.
And because we're all cheering each other on, rising tide floats all boats. We're looking at life rafts, we're looking at life rafts and going, well, there's only so many of us that are going to get on one.
What are you
looking at, the rising tide lifting all of the boats.
So Scranton used to be like this place of what was the old saying? If you can play Scranton, you can play anywhere. Because it was a tough, rough and tumble town.
It was also the gateway to getting in somewhere else, just like the Borscht Belt in the Catskills. Like you'd play the Catskills, you'd play Scranton and Wilkes-Barre, and then that would be how you got noticed and got onto the stages in New York, and how you got onto Broadway.
You could touch that page. As a matter of fact, you should bring it within a fist of your face.
I've been doing this the whole time.
See, he understands mic placement.
Listen,
I know that you're projecting to the back, but
I am. I was taught the old way.
So I've always thought about this because I've always thought about the funding thing, right? And I've always
talk about the funding thing.
Well, so and I'm kind of like I kind of go both ways, and I'll explain what my both ways are. So I understand the purpose of grants.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand the reliance on them.
Mm-hmm.
I understand. The other thing that I don't like about grants is it has conditions,
mm-hmm.
and that aggravates me.
For sure, I was more speaking that like there's countries.
I'm not trying to
I'm just saying there's like countries and cultures out in the world where like the cities will fund theaters to be in the city. Right, like
I think you should incentivize the theaters there as an economic thing.
Centers there,
yeah.
Right? Like if you go to France, they have huge arts funds in every locality and every municipality and throughout the entire country.
Uh-huh.
And it's because they think culture is an important thing to fund and support, right? And so when that's the case, you get these little 10-seat theaters that are doing these avant-garde shows, and you get these subsidized, affordable, attendable, big performing arts events. You get huge galleries that people can afford to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And so because you can integrate the entire macro culture into the fine arts and the performing arts, the perspective that the people have is not, well, I guess they got all of the resources and they're just going to continue doing their thing. And what are we going to do? Right. There's the competitiveness is about who can make the coolest thing, who can make the best thing, as opposed to who is going to do the thing that generates the most commercial success that ensures that they're going to continue being able to do whatever it is that they're doing, regardless of anything else.
Wasn't it like the Ben Affleck thing where it's like you do I can't believe I brought him up, but I did. His thing, one for them, one for me. Yeah. So like, should that be more of a move? Because look, I've always wanted people to go to the theater, right? And I want them to like go and have a good experience, and I want them to want to go. And it seems like, for an area that really capitalized on theater and the arts, and even I'm sure there's even like little black box things around here too. Why is like we can blame the phones, we can blame the internet, we can blame all these other things, but I think like if it's really good, people will go.
Sure.
And I'm trying to understand, like, so you have all these theaters in town, right? Who are all basically are they all going after the same audience?
So really, are there that many theaters in town?
There's two in North Scranton with 60-seat houses.
No.
Sorry, 50-seat.
All right. So tell me. So in the last 10 years, how many, is there the same amount as there were 10 years ago?
Are you talking about professional theater? Or are you talking about community regional theater?
I would be talking about professional, because that would be better.
Professional theater, you have the cultural center.
Yeah.
That's the only considered professional theater?
Well, because there are guidelines. It's an equity house. It's a union house.
Mm-hmm. Wait, so what does the guidelines mean?
That means you have to, pay the stage hands.
You have to be a card-carrying union member to act on the stage or move a chair on the stage.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do we agree or disagree with that? Because that seems weird to me.
No, that's all at Broadway.
Yeah, it's very reasonable. It's just basically saying, like, if you want to do things here, you have to pay people enough to live on, right? Like, you have to pay people a wage. It's not just, you can't just have people doing everything on a volunteer basis.
So would you be community theater?
Yes.
100%.
We're not considered professional theater.
No, not at all.
Because you don't pay the unions?
Well, we don't pay. Well,
we don't belong to the unions.
Yeah. And we don't use their spaces, and we don't take their people, and we don't.
And that does that give you opportunities to be a little bit more creative, or?
I don't think that it's more about what.
I think it's apples and oranges.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with the artistic process per se. It just has to do with the, like, where are you putting the show on? Who do you have access to? What kind of budget are you working with, et cetera, and so on.
But I don't think there's like really much difference between. Because movies are my thing, right?
Hey, listen, I love movies too.
And like Roger Corman and like Lloyd Kaufman, like the trauma stuff and whatever. It's like there's a lot of people who love that shit, and they would find ways to just make it work. Well, but also it's like some of the greatest people have come from that. Is that what it is? Maybe like Community is the Community, like the Rail Riders compared to the Yankees, or
it's the difference between Kevin Smith's Clerks. How many people have tried to make a movie with
for 30 grand,
right? And had so much commercial success after the fact. How many people have made a movie for 30 million and have had a reasonable commercial success after the fact? A lot more, because with that 30 million gets you distribution, gets you professionals to cut your trailer together, gets you high quality actors, right? So sometimes the resources is just a part of the game. We don't have, I don't know how many seats they have in the cultural center, but like, we're
at least 1,000, right?
We're borrowing a theater because we needed more seats. And the two theaters that are combining to put this show on have 150 seats between them.
How many seats are at the
And that would be
school?
If we split about 300.
Okay.
So like, we're quadrupling the size of the original house because we just realized that we don't have the room to put a show like this on in one of the small theaters. And we were so thankful for the partnership of the school district to be giving us a space to put this on. But like, putting on a huge production like this, there are limitations, not just in costs and how many, God, we need 26 actors to be in this show. Every single person with a name.
All right, so run me through this, because I think a lot of people don't know this, right?
So want me to tell you?
I want you to tell me everything, Paige.
Okay, all right. So,
and I don't know if you guys have hard outs. Just let me know if you have a hard out.
So this is what people need to understand about community theater. We decided to do this show. We knew that we, as the Diva Theater, could not do it alone.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to our sister theater, who's only 0.8 of a mile down the road, Actors Circle. And I wrote up a proposal. That's over by Bull's Head, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we're in Providence Square, and they're in Bull's Head.
Okay.
And we sat at a table at their board meeting. We said, "Listen, we'd love to do this. We know we can't do it by ourselves. Is this something you'd be interested in?" And they said yes. So
was it an easy sell, or was it?
It was an easy sell. After they wanted to see us work together in a smaller project.
Oh, so you had to do one for them.
We had to do one for them.
The concept of doing the show was great. The question was, how would it work mechanically?
Yeah.
How would we both do our own things all the time? What would collaboration look like?
Right.
That was the proof of concept.
And you're going to be able to work with people.
Yes.
So we did a backwards Broadway, where the women chose men's songs to sing and the men chose women's songs to sing. And Max was the musical director and I was the artistic director. And it was so much fun.
Yep.
And we got a lot of new people that I've never worked with before.
Good.
So it was fun.
The woman playing Abigail Adams in our show, the first time I met her was doing this backwards Broadway thing. And when she came to auditions, I was like, oh, she's back. Great.
Yep.
She's very talented.
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
So it was, in many ways, it was really great. You know, we have a
Right.
couple of people in the show that I first met doing backwards Broadway, even though they're more known commodities.
Right.
I'm sort of the outsider to the local theater scene here. Among
I'm
everybody
working on changing that.
among everybody on the production and the cast side, fairly outsider, but
it's okay. It's okay.
some of the all to say some of the people that I'm referencing that I didn't name by name are known commodities in the theater world around here,
Right.
and I met them for the first time doing this other show. So
Right.
you know.
Exactly. And that's collaboration.
Mhm.
That's what collaboration is supposed to be. So when we finally decide to do this, I scoured where can we get grant money.
Mhm.
Now we have a fabulous grant writer, Sandy Upshinsky Chestnut.
Oh, Sandy's the best.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Hailstone. She is amazing.
I'm so happy she's still here too.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We thank God every day.
She's
for
a
that.
warrior.
She sure
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
In every conceivable
Yeah.
definition of the word.
So the usual grant process, you know, the county gives out art grants, and the max is $3,000. And I have to be honest with you, $3,000 to a community theater, that goes a long way.
Yeah.
Really?
That goes a long
You
because
would be
community we don't pay anybody
right. So it really
Could you get donations though from people?
sometimes.
Yeah, somebody's like, I mean, what if one guy's like, what if there's like some Daddy Warbucksy guy out there who's like,
Well, he
I'll give
can
you guys
call us.
10 grand and
That's the thing is that's you know
Benefactors.
yeah they
but there is no issue if somebody wanted to do that.
Okay.
No, not at all.
None at all.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that the listeners understand. We as Diva Theater at the Old Brick
Yeah. On Market Street.
on West Market, the gentleman that owns that building is our angel.
yeah.
Okay.
He's worked out a beautiful sweetheart deal with us because this doctor has an undergraduate degree in theater. He gets
He
it.
loves it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a good fit. He likes what we do. So we're lucky.
And it's why Diva gets to do shows that don't necessarily have like street name appeal
Right.
or like stuff that I don't want to say is more experimental or avant-garde in nature, but
Well,
like
certainly darker.
certainly I was going to say that was exactly what I was going to say.
Darker.
Themes, right? So we can explore. They explore shows. They have a lot of shows that explore, you know, violence and you know.
Wait, do you mean like R-rated?
Oh yeah,
Okay. So is that our
yeah.
darker?
So, but imagine you know
Irreverent.
somebody, yeah, and just
Well, Honesty is R-rated.
if you are relying entirely on ticket sales, that cuts off a chunk of
Yep.
people who would be interested in going to. You can cover up a lot of that stuff in
Yep.
theater if you put enough bells and whistles on it. But to do a smaller, pared down, you know, no nonsense version of a dark story, you know, I work with high school students doing drama as well. And, you know, the thing about musicals is that almost all of them have like little smirky adult themes that sort of creep into a lot of the jokes.
a lot of Disney,
dialogue,
a lot of Disney
right?
movies are like
Yes.
that. Yeah.
So then to teach the kids like, okay, so you have to understand this part is a joke.
Mhm.
I can't really explain to you what the joke is.
Yeah.
but the thing about it is that once you
deliver the line this
once
way.
you tell them or I've
Giving you a line reading for how to do this joke.
I have you know explained why it is the way that it is, or if it's cultural reference or something or whatever.
Yep.
And I'll
Yep.
say, look, you can get away with a lot of this because it's in the middle of a song, and so
Yep.
the whole audience is just going to be going, "Wow, what a cool song," and
Yep.
they're not going to think about it,
Right.
But you know that comes at a monetary cost. But the you know what I was saying about Diva having some more freedom to explore more exposed versions of that is something that they get partially because of the benefaction of the good doctor,
Yeah.
you know, giving them some very usable cap space in their budget to continue having a beautiful space to perform works like that in.
So we know how lucky we are. And I tell people this all the time. We know we're blessed. We don't take it for granted. But if we want to put this show on, we need money. So there was a segment on television about America250 on the federal level, giving money to each state to do America-themed events, whether it's painting or whatever,
Yeah.
music,
Arts
theater.
projects, town beautification.
Yeah.
Yeah, all kinds of things. So I called Sandy right away.
Sounds good.
I said, we got to do this. And she goes, we got to wait for the money to come through.
Right.
I said, okay. So I waited. The minute the money came through, I downloaded all of the paperwork. I shipped it off to Sandy. I said, here you go. Now we were thinking grandiose. We thought,
we're going to get $700,000.
No.
Even
If
better.
we
Four.
could-
Like, oh my God, if we could get
$5,000.
what we could do with $5,000 for this one show.
Really?
Oh my God.
We were like giddy children.
Oh, please. Oh, if only Father Christmas would deliver
Yeah.
us $5,000 for this production of
Yeah.
this musical.
So the phone rang and it was Sandy. And she said, Sandy,
Mm-hmm.
hi, honey. I said, hi, what's up? She goes, I think you better sit down. And I thought, this is bad
Here we go.
news.
It's over.
I said, yeah. She goes, well, I heard from PA250. I went, yeah. She goes, no. We got some money. And I went, oh, good. I said, how much did we get? Did we get the 5? I'd be happy with 3. And she went, are you sitting? I went, yes. She goes, $10,000.
No shit.
Yep.
I started crying.
Did you really?
Yeah.
$10,000 is just, with $10,000, this is what you're able to do with grant money that you can't do by your own wits and hard work.
Uh-huh.
We have a set that is going to be amazing.
She's crushing that set.
It is a revolving set.
Yes.
It looks just like Constitution Hall. I said to her when we,
Do you want to say who you said to?
Kylie.
Yeah.
Kylie Nichols, Kylie Pimentel, whatever name she goes by.
She's a ninja, man. She's awesome.
She is.
Yep.
And
But you can't buy 50 casters with $500.
Right.
No.
Because you need to spend that somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Well, and you have to know engineering,
Right,
and
right,
you have to
right.
know like
So-
right, exactly. And she's a genius at this sort of thing. And I said, this is what I want.
she was showing it to me the other day. I'm like, you came up with
Yep,
this?
I want Constitution Hall and I want it to move if we can. She goes, you got it. And so the set literally moves 90 degrees. So when the
I know.
Constitution Hall is Constitution Hall, and then it turns and it's outside of Constitution Hall with these huge shutters, and
Yeah.
it's amazing. We couldn't do that without that grant.
No.
Certainly couldn't do that in one of the small spaces that each of the contributing theaters has.
Exactly.
Right?
No, you can't.
So
we can't even fit all the actors on the stage
No.
at either theater, right?
We can't.
Yeah.
The rehearsal.
How many
process-
actors? 26?
There's 26 in the show. At its most populated, I believe the stage has 23 or
23.
24 individuals.
I was telling her, I said, did
Yeah.
you weigh everybody? Do you know that whether
Yeah.
you're good? She's
Yeah.
like, we're good.
We're
and I'm
good.
like, okay.
So, and another focus was when I went and asked the person that I wanted to make the costumes, because she's brilliant, Judith Mulder. She has a background that Montclair University, she was the head of the costuming department for the school. She taught it,
Mhm.
historical costuming. That was her thing. She has master's degrees in this. She measured each human being, bought the material, designed the costumes, kept it historically accurate, and handmade every costume.
Every one of them?
Every costume.
Mhm. And with
I can't sew on a button.
With $1,000 as opposed to $10,000, those are Party City costumes.
Yep.
Right. Like
Yeah.
that's the difference, right?
Yeah.
It's
They're plastic.
scrounging-
Yeah, and
it's
don't get me
scrounging goodwill,
wrong.
and it's
we
and
have
it's paying-
always had a partnership with Taney's Costume Shop.
100%.
They've been wonderful to
Yeah.
us and very generous.
Yeah.
But because of the ability to make historically accurate costumes, we went that way.
Bespoke.
But they are still our partner.
Mhm.
They furnished us with shoe buckles and
Mhm.
boot covers and stockings and clay pipes. And I mean, things that you absolutely have to have.
decor for our fundraising events.
Yeah, they did all our fundraising
absolutely.
events. So they're a good partner. And when
They've always been in this area. They're great
Yes.
to everybody.
Yep.
we're celebrating 100th year at Taney's this year.
Let's rock.
Yep. We're
Yeah.
going to throw a party.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
When
It's
I was
gonna
not,
be
when I
fun.
was 9 or 10 years old, I was on WNEP because I was buying a costume there. Yeah, it was my first time on TV. Was at Taney's.
Absolutely. And you
Yeah.
ask anybody in this area and they'll say, oh, my grandmother used to bring me in here. But 100 years this year. So they're
That's
good
awesome.
partners. But because we announced, the state came in with their representatives and they handed us the big fat check, and Actor Circle was there and we were there. People started calling us, wanting to be partners.
What can I do
This
to
is
help?
what
For this play?
this
This is awesome.
is what money, a grant like this does for you.
Yeah.
Visibility.
We got the Scranton School District gave us a school.
Yep.
The Trip House gave us space to have our fundraisers, our gala, and all our publicity shots.
Awesome.
Cheney's is our partner. I hope I don't forget anybody. Casa Quattro, the caterer, for the food for the events. Runaway Train, who is the official PA 250 beer company, partnered with us. So people call you. They want to be partners.
Yeah.
Because
let's work together.
Let's work together. So
Yes.
this is what happens when you get money.
Well, do you think that, like, well, you know what the good thing about this is that, like, I'm pretty optimistic that everything's going to go awesome.
Oh yeah.
And the partnerships after that's what this is about. That's where it's
Of
like,
course.
once you do your one for them, then everybody starts to understand, like, oh, this is like, it's not only you can make it lucrative and fun and sometimes provocative.
And I tell people, theater is a collaborative. It's not just one person.
No.
It's the actors and the producers.
It's literally
and
1,000 moving parts.
Absolutely.
Even one man shows.
There's a
It's not just one. It's not just one dude.
That's
man.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. No.
And
It's true.
a lot of these places now, Trip House, because the caterer was new to them, they now have a partnership.
That's awesome.
This is why these things are so important. It's not, listen, I tell every parent this. Your kid may not go to Broadway because a lot of parents think that's where they're headed,
Yeah.
but it gives them a perspective they wouldn't have. It introduces them to different kinds of people, different experiences, music, art, the architecture of the Trip House. I mean, it was absolutely stunning for what we did. and
That's the
what
one over
we
on
did.
Main Ave, right by the expressway,
Yes.
right? Yeah. It's a beautiful
Yes.
building.
Yep.
That's one of the things that I learned in film school. It was not about, like, I could have learned how to shoot movies from YouTube videos,
Correct.
but how to work with a group
Yes.
and how to, like, know when to hold them, know when to fold
Oh.
them, know when to walk away, know when to run.
As we always say, don't take the gun out of the holster until you have to use it.
Right. But there was something valuable about that.
Yes.
Something incredibly valuable about
There's
that.
studies out there that show that, like, the biggest benefit you get from completing a college degree program is learning how to talk to other people
Yeah.
who went through a college degree program. Because at some point, those are the people who tend to be put in
Yeah.
charge of places with
Yeah.
lots of resources, and
Right.
then you need
Yeah.
a job.
Yeah.
And you can speak the same language, right? So, like, that community build, the same reason that people play, baseball in high school. They're not necessarily going to the MLB, but they get to be a part of the team, and they get to work collaboratively, and they get to develop relationships and friendships and with people who they might not have anything else in common with except for baseball. And then 10 years down the road,
Yep.
and they're doing something. And
It
this and that and the
teaches
other thing.
teaches you a lot, as long as you can be okay with the failures of it. And a lot of people, like, in my experience, like, especially like with sports and stuff, if they're not okay with because sometimes, like, you win, sometimes you lose, and you got to be okay with that. And some of them, I don't know what it is, but, like, later in life, they're just still bitter.
There are people who do not let go of their high school experiences in sports. I get that. I get that. I grew up
theater, to be
in a
honest.
hockey
I was
town.
using it as a metaphor. Yeah.
And same thing in theater. But you know what? You have to be open to these experiences. You learn so much. You meet wonderful people you would have never met.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you never get out of being the big fish in a little pond or a little fish in a big pond. Who cares?
Exactly.
You get to be in the pond.
Yep.
That's all I care about.
And most people don't get in the pond.
We're lucky.
Yeah.
The other side of it is you also get to meet a lot of people who you will
Loathe.
be happy to never see or think about for the rest of your life.
Yeah, sure.
And I say that, it's a little tongue in cheek, but, like, one of the things that you learn from even developing relationships like that is like, oh my God, do I really sound like that? Like you have that little voice. Like if you are a self-respecting person who cares about the way you present yourselves to people, I talk about The Music Man as a show that reminds me that I don't have an ego. Because every time I think about like what would all my dream roles be, like if I was going to be in a show, what would I'd want to be Sweeney and Sweeney Todd. I'd want to be a Don Quixote and Man of La Mancha. And I think about all these like leading man roles, and then I'm like, I love The Music Man. God, I'd be terrible in every role in that show. And I go, oh, good, you're not a complete megalomaniac, right?
Right.
And so like if you are worried about having that little voice, go do a community event, right? Because then you'll meet people and you go, oh my God, do I sound like that? And you'll think about your own behavior, and you think about the way that you relate to other people and develop those relationships. And that is as good of a lesson as meeting the right people at the right time as meeting the wrong people at the wrong time.
Well, a lot of to what you were saying, like a lot of self-reflection. I don't think a lot of people do it. And they should probably do it more.
And when it's right up in your face, like you meet somebody and you're like, oh my God, and they're doing the same things that you're doing.
Right.
That's really hard to ignore, right? Like you're both in the same space to do the same activity, theoretically for the same purposes and reasons.
Right.
And you're like, I could not hate this person more than I've ever hated anybody in my entire life. And you're like, why are we both here? What is there within me that is also within this other? It's, John Donne, no man is an island unto himself, but you get to learn about yourself and about how you present to people. I talked earlier, I'm an outsider really in the local theater community. And a part of that is like, I tend to get it to I meet a lot of people that I later just go, oh God, I don't want to deal with them anymore. Are you just really no bullshit or no? Well, I think that's a little bit of it, because I think what I learned from a lot of these experiences is that I don't like being passive. I don't like setting direction, setting vision for something, right?
You're trying to lead.
Right, exactly. And so I realized that I wasn't having good times in these spaces because I was a participant and not a leader. And so I wasn't getting artistic fulfillment out of the things that I was attempting to do. When I realized that about myself, it's because I was in the middle of a production and the directorial team was on my last nerve, and we were 3 weeks away from the show. And I was like, what is the problem here? And I realized it was something about me. I was not in a place that matched up with my skill set and my needs and who I am as a person and as a creator, right?
Were you trying to do something that you weren't comfortable with?
No, I was trying to do something that should have been the easiest thing in the world for me.
So what was the obstruction?
I didn't like the workflow. I didn't like working with the people who were setting the tone and setting the direction and setting the vision. And I didn't like it because it seemed inept to me. Right?
So what would have made it better?
Him as
me being in charge, right? And that was the realization that I came to. Was I said, "Oh my God,
were they just too passive, or
they just didn't?" I felt like they didn't know what they were doing, right?
Well, I'm trying to ask you. So, like, if other people listen, like, I got to look out for that.
So that's. But I don't know if there's a better way of saying it, right? Like, they didn't seem to have clarity of vision. They didn't seem to have an understanding of how to go from nothing to a complete show. They didn't seem to understand how to adjust. Like the finer points of the performances, right? So when somebody went out and they sang their song or whatever, how do we go from their baseline level to something a little bit better than that? They seem to have no clue how to execute on those ideas at all. And I'm sitting there going, it's not your job, stay in your lane. It's not your job, stay in your lane. It's not your job, stay in your lane. Yeah. And going home and just being mad about it, right? And then I realized, well, if I'm just going to have that reaction, then the solution to the problem is not go find a directorial team that you like. It's be the directorial team you wish you had in the world, right?
Right.
And so that came from self-reflection, from bad experience, right? And so that's why I say it's valuable. And I don't.
Is there things that you don't feel is in your wheelhouse?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, it has to be.
A lot of it is like, I think a lot of it is knowing what you shouldn't do.
It has to be.
Absolutely.
You cannot be everything in the production.
No.
And we have discussed this, and we're on the same book here.
Especially for free, because people just like up and leave.
Yeah, especially for free.
I tell every one of my staff, every one of my actors, whether you're on or off the stage, we thank you, we value you.
Yes.
You give us your time and your talent.
I've heard you say this. I've heard you say this before. Okay.
And
now I remember
you don't get paid for it.
Yeah.
And I want you to know that I appreciate every second that you're here.
Yeah.
Having said that, community theater runs the gambit of those who are, and I use this, there are companies that it's Mickey and Judy, let's put a show on in the barn.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're happy with that.
Yep.
Sure.
And good for them.
Mhm.
That's what they do. That's what they like to do. Do it. There are community theaters that set a very high bar. And sometimes they can be a little pretentious, thinking that they're the best of the best of the best. And everybody has their moment in the sun.
Mhm.
The way we like to run things is that the door is open to everyone. Bring us your talent. But there are rules. We're nice to each other here. If you're not nice, you don't get asked back. People are giving everything they have.
Yep. I was about to say the other part of that is we also demand effort.
Yes.
That
Like, don't phone it in.
that Mickey and Judy stuff has so much value in the community. I think it's one of the reasons, and I'm not going to go off on a tangent about this, but I think it's one of the reasons that
I think you will.
that tabletop RPGs and actual play shows have taken up a huge amount of cultural market share compared to where they were 5 years ago.
Tabletop
So like people playing Dungeons and Dragons
versus
on,
like
video
World
or
of
whatever.
Warcraft.
Well, right. So,
Right.
but the idea of that, the reason that I bring that up is because I think the reason that people like those is that those are just places where you get to sit around and drink a beer and pretend to be a little goblin or whatever. And have
Okay.
fun,
All right.
And if you're approaching community theater that way, that is great, super valuable. You want to put on your favorite play with your best friend? Do it.
Yeah.
Right? We literally last summer, right?
Yep.
Like I
Yep.
music directed a show,
Yep.
and it was two actors. It was their 40th birthday present to themselves as they funded and put on this little 2-person musical. And, I've said it directly to their faces, so I know I'm not talking out of turn, like not going to be professional singers anytime soon. Right?
Yeah.
And I realized about 3 rehearsals in that my job was not going to be to turn this show into like, oh my God, they should have been on Broadway.
Right.
It was to let these 2 actors have their vision,
Yeah.
have their fun, feel good about themselves at the end, right? But that's not the version of things that I like to do. I like to, take that extra step, go that extra mile, put in that extra 10% of effort and wrench on those small details really hard. I had a writing teacher in college who said that the crumbs are more important than the cake. And I genuinely believe that, right? When I was detailing cars for a living, the thing that made the difference was not how well I got the body panels done. It was, did I put that little extra bit of chrome polish on the hubcap in that one spot that's really hard to reach?
Right.
Because they see that there's no blemish there and they go, oh my God, he did such a good
He paid
job.
attention to that part.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And so we've talked about that every time we've talked about doing a collaboration like this, is that, we take everybody and then we demand their best. And we don't punish them for not being as good as we think they can be. But we do get annoyed if they're not, trying to grow a little bit.
And
Right.
we are, though, and following this, last night is a prime example. There's a young man in our cast who's never done a show before, but he wowed us at auditions, and he has a substantial role, and he sings a solo, and he's very nervous about it. And
Correct.
he had a little trouble last night, and we said, it's okay. That's why we call it rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
And he got it, and it was beautiful. And afterwards I said to him, just let it go, honey.
Yep.
It's there.
Now, did he have trouble? Because I've found that most people are concerned, like especially they're concerned about the perception, not the
Correct.
truth of it.
Correct.
They screw
Nobody
it up.
want-
They screw it up because they're like,
He
what's
doesn't-
this person going to
Yeah,
think,
no,
or what
no,
are they going to say,
no,
or how they're going to judge it, or
he doesn't want to let us down.
Mm-hmm.
It was all about us.
Yeah.
He kept saying, oh, I'm sorry. Don't be sorry.
yeah.
That's why it's called rehearsal.
Yeah.
It's just something that like it came to me later in life. It's like, don't care. Like, you can't be concerned about because you can't control it.
Just let it go.
The
Let it
predominant
go.
Thank you, Elsa.
the
Let it
predominant
go.
demographic that I work with with drama is high school girls. And if you want a group of people
Ripe
who
for drama.
truly does not want to be like perceived in any way unless they are an absolute standout all-star bound
Yeah.
for great things, talk to any high school girl, right? Like, so I tell my kids when I work with them from the beginning, look, you're here, you're doing musical theater. To some percentage of the population, everything you do is going to look dumb and silly.
Yes.
So
be okay with
okay with that now, because in 4 months when the show goes up, you're going to be on stage and you're going to be kicking your feet to some song about something that you don't care anything about outside of the bounds of this show. And if you do it half-assed, you're gonna look dumb to the people who like this kind of thing, right? So
but it's like
you're
it's
gonna
like,
cut off everybody.
But like you got it, like it's. So I'm like ever since COVID, I got into like all this like spirituality shit, and like I'll do like Reiki and all this stuff, and like there's a lot of people who think it's frou. Like my whole thing is like I'm here, I might as well all in. I'm all in on this, and you know what the crazy thing is I'm like I was afraid of like I'll look stupid, or it's like when guys go to the gym or something like that and they've never been to the gym. They're like, I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to look stupid in front of everybody, right? I don't want anybody like sitting on the treadmill like who has 2% body fat like looking at me. And you know, once you just say screw it, it's very liberating. It's very you get a lot of freedom from that. It all
boils down to take the chance, take the leap.
You're not going to die.
And I always say to people, what's the worst thing that could happen? You find out you don't like it. Oh, boo-hoo.
Yeah.
Move on.
Or somebody laughed at you. Who cares? I get laughed at every day.
Who cares?
Yeah. It was that it's just a pretension that you just got to, it's a fear. It's fear. Just get over your fear.
I mean, it's ego. Nobody likes to be laughed at. Nobody likes to be made fun of, right? Like it's not fun to have people think that the thing that you put a lot, and especially for, you know, doing a show, you go through a month or two, at least in community theater with high schools and things like that. It's usually a longer process just because you can't have them working for 4 hours at a time or whatever. But
laws.
You know, child labor, whatever. It's fine. But you know, with community theater, we started music rehearsals in the middle of April.
Yeah.
The show goes up at the end of June, right? So you know, in some of our cases, we've been working on this show for 2.5 months by the time it goes up.
Right.
And so if you work on something for 2.5 months and then everybody who comes to see it goes, oh my God, that's a lot, right? That's tough, right? Because you put in a lot of yourself and your time and your effort and whatever. And so like, you know,
this is why you can't LARP it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But literally, right? Like you cannot put on a facade. It cannot be, and you cannot put one toe in, right? You got to go in, you got both ankles, right? Like you got to put everything into it, because if you're not putting it all on the line, it's obvious. It's like,
well, and the rest of the production suffers from it.
And the rest of the production suffers.
Of course it does.
If you put everything on the line and it sucks, people will still respect you.
Sure.
Like, you know, I referenced this musical that I did last year. Nobody walked out of that show going, oh my God, those are the two best musical actors I've ever seen in my entire life. But everybody walked out of that show going, oh my God, that was so fun. It was amazing. They had such a good time. They committed so hard. All the jokes were funny. They knew their stuff. They really put on a great show. Right. Everything about the quality of the show was exceptional.
And the actresses on
but like,
the stage.
It's okay. But literally, who the hell cares?
But I have to tell
and
you.
as the music person, I said to them after the fact, who the hell cares? And nobody did, right? And
isn't it weird?
You'd think it'd be the thing that people cared about the most. But I'll tell you why.
Tell me.
Because they believed.
This is why Ray Fiennes was nominated for an Oscar.
They got out there and I went on opening night and I had such a good time. And when I got home, Bob said to me, how was it? And I said, you know, I have to tell you, the two young women who really aren't singers, this was probably one show that I had so much fun because it did not matter.
Yes. And everybody shared in the experience.
It was wonderful.
And brought the house down every night. I was backstage every night.
Were you there going like, this doesn't make sense?
No.
Or were you there going like, it does make sense because you know the trick, because you know how it works.
Third rehearsal or whatever, I realized what the mission of the project was. It wasn't to put on a show that we were trying to take to an off-Broadway theater later on in life. It was to give the gift of joy to two people who just really wanted it. And
but that gift hit everyone else.
It did.
Who were prepared to put everything into it. And then because of that choice, everyone loved it.
It's right.
Did you like working on it?
Yes.
And I enjoyed seeing it.
Yeah.
I really
It was
did.
great.
It was wonderful. It really was.
I brought on the pianist because
Yep.
we just talked about doing it with a live pianist, and I reached out to a friend of mine and I said, look, they're not singers, so you don't have to go super crazy on this. Like, do your best, whatever, but like come prepared to just have a good time. And man, did she was doing bits. She like did her hair up in a silly way, right? Like she got into it too because the energy was there. And this is a person that I would describe as, she takes performing very seriously.
Right.
I work with her on several musical projects outside of this specific thing. And, when she got silly, I was like, all right, this machine is working, right? Like we have turned the car on and we are driving in the correct direction because everybody's on board.
Do you think it's more important for like the audience? I'm sure you're going to say that you think it is, but
I'll take a softball.
I think like, I've seen things that you're like, oh, this isn't going to win an Oscar or a Tony or any of that, but man, it's memorable.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Happens all the time.
I love it.
All the time.
So like going for like the awards and the accolades, I always thought was kind of bullshit because I'm like, everyone should just really enjoy the experience or think or be like, I don't regret it.
Yeah.
I don't regret going to see that, or I don't regret listening to that, or.
Yeah. But you do have to set a standard.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Because otherwise you're watching your 3-year-old in the garage.
But the standard is process and effort,
right?
Like the standard is
you don't just show up and it happens.
You don't just show up and it happens.
You
don't show up expecting it to just happen, and you don't not show up and then hope it happens at the end, right? Like the standard is you show up, you put in the elbow grease, you make the best version of it that you can make, and then whatever, man.
Well, here's my philosophy. I've been at this a long time.
Mm-hmm.
If you find the people that are truly talented in what they do, and you like them, respect them, enjoy their company, and you bring them into the fold, you look like a genius.
Yeah.
And that's what I have done for many, many years. I bring on people, and there are people who come to me and say, you work with so-and-so, how can... I said, listen, this person's a genius.
Mm-hmm.
They may be a little out there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to go home with them.
I don't have to call them from a bathtub.
That's right.
Yeah.
They're here, and I love their work. I want them on my team.
Yeah.
And it works.
I mean, it's the old saying. It's like, I think I've heard directors say it. They're like, if I can hire a really good actor I don't have to work.
That's right.
I don't have to focus on that
Yeah,
because they're so good at what they do.
I don't mean to, I'm not going to talk about any other part of the process, but the person that we have playing John Adams, who's the standout starring role of the show.
He's amazing.
They came to us after having been in the production in a different role as Thomas Jefferson, and in that same production was the musical director. So here I am, not having to turn a single wrench on one actor.
Right.
I don't have to look in John Adams's direction. In fact, when I'm looking in John Adams's direction, it's usually like, hey, I'm having trouble understanding what they've written down here because there's 3 different versions of this book and it's not helping. What did you find out when you did this?
Right.
And them saying like, oh yeah, no, it's this thing. I'm like, oh my God, now that you say that, sorry.
Right.
That makes
everything
all the sense in the world, so just having somebody like that around, it takes such burden off of our shoulders for that thing.
But we've been very fortunate. I mean,
we can ramp up the effort somewhere else, right?
Sure.
Like we can start turning wrenches elsewhere, which makes the whole thing better, right? Because we can say, oh my God, I don't need to focus on this at all.
Right.
And if I am, it's in total collaboration,
right?
And it's with input, and it's really like a team effort versus like, when I'm working with the school kids, sometimes it's all just like mashing the what you need them to do into them for 2 months until they finally get it.
Right.
And you go home and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
Oh, I just said this 15 times already. Why aren't they singing the note the way that I told them to sing the note? It can really drag on you, right?
Yeah.
And so having the people around who have that expertise and put in that effort and are reliable and you're not worrying about them is just one fewer distraction in a process that is entirely made up of distractions.
Yes.
So, yes, casting is everything.
Yep.
And when we announced this show, when I say voices came, I am not kidding. We sat at the auditions, and sometimes somebody would just sing and we'd look at each other like, yeah, okay. We have some beautiful voices. And there's something very special and very powerful about, there was one music rehearsal, the very first music rehearsal. I was not there because I was with my kids at Old Forge High School. And I went in the next night and Max said, oh, here, this is what we did last night. And the guys sang the opening number. They not only sang it, it was with harmony. And I took a step back and I thought, I've got magic.
Yeah. You know the moment too.
I know the moment.
Yeah. So tell me about this whole production and when we're gonna see it and who's in it and who worked on it and
oh God, I don't know where to begin. Okay, let's start with the dates. It's at West Intermediate School on Fellows Street in Scranton.
1401 Fellows Avenue, Scranton, Pennsylvania, 18504.
I don't know.
forget.
It's literally like 5 blocks from my house. Yeah.
We opened.
My mom taught there, as I told you.
Yeah.
June 19th. So we go 19, 20, 21, 25, 26, 27, 28. Thursday, Friday, Saturday evening is at 7:30. Sunday matinee at 2. The tickets are $25 general admission, but for students, seniors, and veterans, it's $15.
Okay.
And the tickets are going very quickly. So if you need it, you need to do this.
Yeah.
You can call the theater at 570-209-7766 or on any of the posters or the Facebook pages or the websites, there's a QR code. So
quick response, that stands for.
Yep. And boy, it works. So that's that end of it. Casting.
And we'll repeat that at the end too.
Yeah. Casting. You want crew first or cast?
Whatever comes to mind, because I'd like to know, like, is there anybody like seasoned vets, new people?
Yeah, lots.
Okay,
lots.
For folks who have gone to see plays and musicals in the Wyoming Valley area, you will know several. To all of the names on, especially
on the cast
headlining list.
Yeah, the cast.
Our John Adams, Ray Hopkins, has done lots of work in the theaters, especially down closer to the Wilkes-Barre area. Obviously, this is the first one of the first community musicals that's not like pay to be in the musical that I've seen in.
What do you mean pay to be in the musical?
So it's expensive to put on a musical, right? The way that a lot of theaters supplement their costs
is it expensive because you have to pay rights or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So they'll do like a membership dues type system where if you want to participate in the theater, you pay some amount of money. There's some music, some musical place, not musical theater, but like concert music places that do a similar type of thing. Sort of runs off of membership dues. Great way of financing it. Then everybody, is sort of in the club and can participate.
And this is important that people understand this. You just don't pick a play and put it on. You have to pay for the privilege of having this play.
Yeah, unless it's totally original, written by somebody in an alley in Scranton.
But even then, you have to get their permission to use it without paying them, or if it's unpublished.
Right.
Public domain.
Yeah, public domain.
So we're talking thousands of dollars to do a musical, not hundreds.
For permission.
Thousands of dollars. This show in particular cost close to $4,000 just for rights
permission.
and royalties.
Really?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
So you're already starting $4,000 in the hole before you even have your auditions.
Right.
You cannot advertise. You cannot do anything until you have paid. They get to be paid up front before you get material, before you can hold auditions.
Okay.
So
and I don't know about you, but I don't usually have $4,000 lying in my back pocket for
and most
spending
community
on
theaters don't.
Right.
No.
So when I say like membership dues or something like that, that's a common way of helping you get over that hump, right? Because then that also insures against like poor ticket sales for a show or something like that. It's like, well, even if we have poor ticket sales, we have our flat membership fees or whatever.
But I do want to put in here, neither Diva nor Actor Circle does that.
That was why I even brought it up. This is the first time I've seen a show
the membership fees
in the Scranton area that doesn't do something like that for a musical anyway. So anyway, to bring it back to the casting, Ray Hopkins plays John Adams. You will have seen them in several productions in the southern end of the Wyoming Valley. We have Kaylee Caramano as Abigail Adams. We have a wonderful young actor, Riley Schmidt, is playing the other woman in the show. There's two women in the show. There's Abigail Adams and Martha Jefferson. Riley Schmidt is doing a wonderful job as Martha Jefferson. Bob Balitski as
Who's that?
Benjamin Franklin.
He's this guy.
You want to talk about nepotism? All right, I got something I want.
So I do want everyone to know, Bob has to audition.
He does.
He auditions like everybody else, and he knows that if somebody walks through that door,
you are so.
He knows.
It's awesome.
that if
Nobody gets a free ride.
Nobody gets a free ride.
It's awesome.
But he is awesome as Ben Franklin.
He's playing Ben Franklin, but we talked. We were like, should it be Bob? There was a question. There's an actual question mark at the end of it. We had lots of people come out and audition.
Yeah, lots.
Folks who have been in the Northeast PA area for a while may know at least the voice, if not the face, of Larry Voitko, who worked in public media for a very long time. He's playing Roger Sherman from Connecticut.
And there's 26 names. That's a lot to remember.
Yeah, and you're not going to see everybody the whole time.
You should talk about Jefferson and Dickinson because you have a relationship.
I brought in a couple of my fraternity brothers from Mansfield who happen to be living in the area. Donnie D'Arienzo is going to be playing Thomas Jefferson. They're a lovely countertenor that I worked with a long time ago at
talented.
School. And then Jacob Kerbaugh is playing John Dickinson, who I would say is the actual villain of the show.
Yeah.
He's
the sweetest man.
He really is. Dickinson was a congressman from Pennsylvania, and really approached the denial of the Declaration as a, boy, this seems like an awful lot of fuss over a very small issue complaint, right? So like it was truly a very political position. As a man of means and wealth and whatever, saying these problems are not that big actually, and let's maybe not start a war that we can't finish. Darren Moore as Judge Wilson, who's our third.
I know that name. Why do I know that name?
He's done a lot of local theater.
Yeah, he's been around. So you will, if you've gone to live theater, you will probably have seen him in something. We have a lot of first timers though, or first timers in a very long time. So for example,
what do you mean, like a sabbatical?
So for example, the gentleman who's playing John Hancock also happens to be my father-in-law, but we can't escape the nepotism allegations. But
you can't swing a dead cat around here without hitting a relative. So,
but he hasn't been in a play since he was in high school.
Really?
Yeah, and so it's been. I'm not gonna dox him, but it's been some number of years that could be measured in decades since he's been in a play, right?
And then he's having a great time.
In fact, he just got discharged from the hospital yesterday.
Yeah.
And then showed up for rehearsal for like an hour because he just wanted to be at rehearsal. He brought his script to the hospital with him.
Yeah.
He's an insane man. Anyway.
Yeah, but it seems like that's the kind of talent that you want.
Yeah. The gentleman who's playing Dr. Lyman Hall of Georgia has never been in a play before.
Yeah,
he looks so lost all the time, but he has talked to at least I think both of us at this point and just been like, this is the most fun thing that I think I've ever done.
I didn't know I was going to have so much fun.
Yeah, he's put in so much work, right? So we have a lot of people, a lot of names that you would know.
Ed.
Yes, Ed Kozorowski is his character just called the Courier. Is a Continental Army soldier who brings correspondence from General Washington into the Congress Hall.
Okay.
He's got a absolutely heart-wrenching song that closes out the first act. Sort of about just the horror of being in war as a young man.
Right.
Sort of a letter addressed to his mom.
Felix Walworth, who's very well known in the Wilkes-Barre area, is
Stephen Hopkins.
Stephen Hopkins, a gruff, curmudgeon type of guy. He's wonderful.
The second oldest congressman besides Ben Franklin
and
by
then,
a year.
Frank Carey, known all over this area. I'm going down the rows.
We've got Bob DeLuca.
From Endless Mountains Theater.
Chris Hughes. What's his last name? Chris Decker. Is that his last name? The gentleman playing Mr. Hughes. I'll look it up and we'll get a clean take. But those are two gentlemen who work with the Endless Mountain Theater Company up north.
But it seems like you're getting like all these.
We're getting so many people from
like my idea of the bitterness thing is like, oh, it's not as prevalent as it used to be, or maybe it wasn't prevalent at all.
So many of the people who are in this show either have not done a show at Diva before, or
belong to another theater company,
or spend most of their time doing community theater at other theaters.
Yeah.
Did the announcement of this get these people interested?
Yes.
Or did you do?
I mean, Ray has said this is one of his favorite musicals, right? So, like, they've talked to me specifically about how much they love 1776.
You have to remember that the community theaters in Scranton, Actors Circle and Diva, we don't do musicals.
No. They're too expensive. They require too many seats,
the French people who just got their new space.
So the French people?
Fringe.
Fringe. Connor?
Fringe Festival. They don't do
Where'd Connor get a place?
They are, how do I explain this?
Very avant-garde. The Fringe Festival as an entity,
right? But that's not what he's asking. He's asking,
no, where's the space?
The space. It's on North Main, about 4 blocks down from us. Do you know where the Head Start program? It was in a church.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're in that
at the Tri section.
The old Grove Church. It's Oak Street in Maine.
Yeah. There used to be a funeral home across the street there.
Yes.
That's where my grandmother had her funeral. Yeah. My grandfather grew up there.
That property's for sale.
Yeah. The house was amazing.
Yeah. I bet.
Yeah. But that's where my grandfather grew up in the early 1900s. Yeah. Didn't know that.
Small world.
So who's working behind the scenes?
Well, I'm the director. Max is the musical director.
Mm-hmm.
Kylie is doing the set design.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go down the list now.
We have
Molly Boyd
is the choreographer. Andy DeSando and Maggie Roche are
stage
managing.
Yeah. Katie Von Bergen is also working as a backstage and front of the house person to make sure that everybody's doing their job and things are moving along. Judith Mulder, costumes. Wow. And then, we have people that aren't in the show who called and said, can I help build the set?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When somebody calls and says, can I don't even wait. I go, yes.
We have a group affectionately known as the Button Brigade who was
the
helping
Button
Judith
Brigade.
with some
putting the buttons on,
lighter sewing.
She's
lifts.
so accurate that these buttons have to be covered in fabric.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we had to
no one's going to see that from the audience.
Doesn't matter. Right? It matters to us.
Yeah.
You could literally do a matte sticker.
Again. Well, you want to talk about the impact of resources. That's not happening with less resources, right? Like that type of artistic decision cannot be made if you do not have the resources to follow through on.
Yep.
Right. So, I don't want to say it all comes back down to money, but when you have money, look at the things that you can do, right? Like you can do those little details that people might not necessarily notice or wouldn't even jump out at you. But that little bit of polish on the wheel well, like it really, like it creates a vibe. It's sort of an imperceptible tone shift in how things are perceived when down to the fabric covering on the buttons, is. But
those amount of details are things that like I've always heard, directors and actors say like that. Yeah. That actually makes it a more livable experience.
Well, it makes it a more
because it's legit. It's
fulfilling experience,
and the intentionality cuts through the end product.
Right, and you could do the show. Don't get me wrong. We could do this show
in black box,
and in a black box
100%.
setting. It would be less choreography. The costumes would not be historically accurate. We wouldn't have a set that turned because they'd barely be able to turn themselves, never mind a set.
Mm-hmm.
It can be done.
Mm-hmm.
But when things line up like this, you want to do it as best as you can.
Yep.
I'm a big America guy, so I'm all for this. And I think that like the fact that you guys are doing it and from understanding like how it seems like a lot of stars aligned.
Yeah.
Truly.
And there's a gratitude there for that because, that usually doesn't, in my experience, a lot of times that doesn't happen.
I think what helps us is we all recognize how lucky we are.
Mm-hmm. And a weirdly not Ben Franklin aphorism, but like luck is also what happens when preparation meets opportunity, right? Like,
Sure.
so having people ready to work and go, having developed good relationships with people,
Picking the right people.
A production person that we didn't mention, but our sound technician, the person who's going to be operating our soundboard, is one of the people that I worked with as a high school student where I teach drama club. And
she was your student.
She came to see the show this year. And I said, "Hey, how you doing? What are you up to?" And she goes, "Oh, I've been continuing to do like live sound things for theater where I'm at in school." And I went,
"Are you interested?"
Really?
Yeah.
Because I could use somebody. And she was like, "Yeah, sign me up. I love it." Right. And so having developed that relationship with this specific individual for 3-4 years prior led to having somebody that when they showed up at my doorstep, I went, "Would you want to?" And her saying, "Yeah, absolutely." Right. Being so involved in my fraternity meant I developed relationships with people who went to the school after I left. And 2 of those people are starring roles in our show.
That's incredible.
Right. Like, and so preparation meets opportunity. Would we have a Dickinson and a Jefferson that are as lovely as these 2 are? Maybe. Who knows? But we have these 2 because of personal connections. Right. And of creating that community and camaraderie before announcing the show.
Is everybody laved? Or how do you do that?
We're working on that.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge. But
I always see them hanging those microphones from the ceiling and I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, they're terrible. Don't do it.
I don't like these things.
They're tough.
Yeah. We could probably, I'll be honest, in the space that we have with the people.
I might know a guy. Are you looking for labs?
Well,
we're looking for a lot. We'll
say,
talk.
Okay.
In the space that we have with the people that we have, we could probably do the show with minimal audio equipment. The show production quality gets better when you can really turn those micro. I mean, you look with just the equipment that's in this room. I know you know that this is a true thing, right?
Yeah.
Could we sit down with one of these guys in the middle of the table and kind of all be shouting into it and still have a productive conversation and still have the content will all be the same? Great. Is it nearly as listenable? Is it nearly, you know what I mean? Like you can polish it so much better when you just have a higher. And
remember, it's
level
not just
of equipment.
talking.
Yeah.
There are fine, quiet moments.
Well, that's what I was getting to because I'm like,
singing
sometimes it's about that.
Exactly.
It is. And about connections.
Yes.
2 days ago, I received a text from a young man who did musical reviews with me when I first moved here. And he's a professional now and he's all over the place. And he said, "Hey, I'm home for a few months and I'm looking for something to do. Can you use me for anything?" And I said, "I'm doing 1776. He goes, "I'm on board."
And what's he do?
He's a tech guy, so he's coming in to
awesome.
Because like you want to talk about not being able to do everything by yourself.
Exactly.
I work in the building where we're putting the show on, so I was the one so far this process that's been like wrenching on all the lighting equipment and trying to get everything set up. And I secured a light board for us to use. I had to go buy floppy disks to save the show onto in the light board.
Are you shitting me?
I am not shitting you. I had a $22 and some
I know some of the school directors. I'm going to call them. We're going to fix this.
Because the thing that I borrowed is less outdated than what was in my school building, but still very outdated. So like it just happened to be that it ran on floppy disks. So I $20
like 3.5 or 5 1/4.
3.5 inch floppies. Yeah. Why?
The people listening right now is like 3.5, 5 1/4.
So
and they're going, what?
So up until later tonight, that has been a responsibility that that I took on as a primary responsibility because I'm the one with the badge to get in and out of the building.
Right.
It just was a thing that was like, well, I'm here. I've vaguely done things like this in the past. Sure, man.
And we needed that.
And we needed somebody to do it. Right. And now, so 2 days ago, a phone call just out of the blue.
Yep.
And then, oh my God. But you want to talk about like, going back to what I was talking about with Ray, how I don't have to focus on them at all.
Right.
Well, gosh, this person's going to come in and going to take this gigantic need off of my plate as a production staff member. You know, I keep forgetting,
but that's
sometimes that I'm in the damn show. Right.
Oh, you're in it too?
Yeah. I have said it.
He's Rutledge. He's the guy that sings the uncomfortable song.
Yeah. I'm the guy who's defending chattel slavery
Yeah.
and the hypocrisy of the northern colonies.
Good.
Yeah.
But the
Again,
whole idea.
I have to keep saying it's
Yeah.
Leo and Django. It's Leo and Django. It's Leo and
You
it's a
know,
character. It's a character.
right.
It's a character. But you know, I've said people have asked me like, what's your biggest fear about this show? And I was like, well, genuinely, my biggest fear is that I'm going to spend all of my effort, 110% of my effort on the production side,
Mhm.
And not
gonna
focus
know
on the
my lines,
performance.
and I'm not
Yeah.
going to know my song, and I'm going to
Yeah.
go out there and I'm going
Yeah.
to look like an idiot, and it's going to make the show worse. And having people come in like this gentleman that we were
Yeah.
just talking about is going to save my bacon, right?
Well, it's going to make it a better show.
It's going to make
And-
it a better show.
And again, this is a relationship that was fostered 2 decades ago.
Yeah. No resumes, man. It's all networking.
And it's all and I don't
And
want to
isn't
say
it
random,
nice
but like
that he got home and
The
said,
universe answers you.
I'm going to call Paige because she must be doing
Uh-huh.
something.
the number of people that I know from like my time running, like helping run local game stores, people who just like play Magic the Gathering, but also like to do whatever. Like I got a buddy that I met playing Magic the Gathering who's been making electronic music since the early 90s, like as like a little side pet project. He's one of the most brilliant.
Is it craft work? Is that
No, wouldn't that be funny though? He's one of the most brilliant, you know, composer, music minded people that I've ever met.
Really?
Because I've listened to his work,
Mhm.
and I've been in his little studio. He calls it his nerd room. I've been in his little studio lab that he has in his house. I mean, the man's got 50 synthesizers if he's got one, and like 14 little MIDI controllers, and it has so many lights and dials and fans that I've never seen such a crazy setup. But like I met that person on a totally different area of my life, and then I learned things about making music from him that I never would have learned from anybody else because of the sphere, the area that he came from, right?
Yeah.
And that's the kind of relationship building that ends up turning something like this from a marathon into a relay race,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
Like it turns this in from some gargantuan, you know, I got to stand behind this semi truck and lift it up, to we have 1,000 people with levers and technology and we just got to move it 6 more inches, right? Like it really does. It lightens the load and it creates a better quality end product. And it allows people to truly play in the play, right? It just, you don't get here without doing all of that.
Right.
You know, there's such a, you know, I teach private voice lessons from time to time, and there is such a perception that like people are born with beautiful singing voices or they're not, or people are born with certain talent or they're not. And the reality of it is that so much of what goes into the performing arts is just like anything else. What you put into it is what you get out of it.
Right.
But just like with everything else, if you are not along for every step of the ride, it seems like it came out of nowhere. It seems like a magic trick.
Right.
You know, if you've ever seen, you know, Penn Jillette talk about doing magic and how it's this stupid thing that's designed to fool your brain because you want it to be more miraculous than it actually is.
Right.
That is all performing arts. All of performing arts is a magic show, right? Because if you have done it well, all of the blood and sweat and tears look like the show and not like the lights that get turned on and off.
Right.
It doesn't look like the microphones that get turned on and off.
It's supposed to be like this organic thing
Yes,
that like seems like
exactly.
it has life.
Exactly.
And when you notice the flaws, it takes you out of the whole
it's the
thing.
puppet and not the strings,
Yeah.
right? Like if you see the puppet,
You know there's strings.
if you look at the strings,
Yeah.
if all you can look at is the strings, something's gone horribly wrong.
Right.
And so the more talented people that you have, the more likely it is that your audience is just going to be looking at the puppet. And that's great.
And that's what matters.
I say to people, what you see is the finished product. If we've done our job and it flows and you're happy, then so be it. You don't need to know that it took us 3 months prior to this to put all of this together.
Hundreds of hours of rehearsal.
Hundreds of hours.
Yeah. If
And
not
this
thousands.
This is community theater. So-and-so is cast. Everything is fine. And then they get a job problem. They get transferred.
Right.
Somebody breaks an arm or a leg. These things happen every day.
Drop out because of a death in the family.
Death
right?
in the
Like,
family.
These are real people with real lives.
With
and so
real
their
lives.
real challenges get, impact the show.
Yep.
So when people go to see this,
Yeah.
what can they expect?
I think
Don't give away any plot points.
Well,
No spoilers.
I think they kind of know the story.
That's the thing with historical.
No, but like what are they going to expect?
I think that they're expecting, fun musical. Now, that is true. We're giving them some fun, but it's also our job to elevate and educate.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we need to do. And I think this show does it. And I think they're going to come away with several things. Oh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I love the music or the songs because the songs they're really well written, but some of them are very, very hard to sing.
Yep.
And the grandeur of it, the beauty of it, because it's going to visually, it's going to be stunning between the set and the costumes alone. Before they even open their mouths, it's going to be stunning.
I think audiences are going to be floored at the individual talent that they see.
Yeah.
I go see shows at community theaters every once in a while. My wife is much more involved in the theaters than I am. So I don't often get out to see shows because if we have a night and somebody's going to go see a show, it's going to be her because she, it's just more invested and whatever. But, I go and every once in a while I see an actor. I'm like, and why are you a banker? Right. Like I have that thought to myself. I was like, this person is exceptional. We have a lot of those people in this cast. We do. We are very, very fortunate in that way. Fortunate that we created those relationships and that those people wanted to be involved, but also fortunate,
smart enough to casting them.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, I think folks are going to be wowed by John Adams. I think they're going to be wowed by Benjamin Franklin. I think they're going to be wowed by the ladies. I think they're going to be wowed by a lot of the individual performers. How about
Kelly Krieger as
Richard Henry Lee?
Oh my God,
he does a wonderful job. He was a tape audition, and I was just like, you know what? There's something about this, right? There's something about this guy that I think I want him to do this. And you said, you know what? Great, let's put him in there.
Yep.
And I mean, his performance, again,
his comedic timing.
You want to talk about somebody that I did not have to turn the wrenches on at all musically.
Yep.
Great. Just really brought it all by himself. I mean, the level of individual talent is really quite something from the top down in terms of, the call sheet as well. Right. Like we have people who have just a couple of little lines. I brought in a very good friend from high school and, lost track of him for a little while and then started playing Magic together when I was working at a game store. And he's playing the Scotsman from Delaware, Colonel Thomas McKee, and my buddy Dave Mazenga. I introduced him to his wife at my wedding, just a guy I have a really deep personal connection with. I said, David, come down and do the play with me. Like, let's and I had him in mind for McKeon right away, and obviously Paige didn't know him, never seen him before in her life, and it didn't take much convincing, but it was a trust me on this one. And I mean, he's hysterical, right? He's brilliant. He's got a wonderful voice about it. He has his work ethic and attitude is amazing,
and he does a Scottish accent that is to really die good.
For. So we just the individual
from Magic
talent.
the Gathering.
Yeah.
Crazy.
He introduced me to Dungeons and Dragons back in high school. A buddy of mine. And again, somebody who has not done a play since he and I were in Pippin together in high school.
Pippin
in 2007.
Serious.
Yeah. So a 19-year hiatus from the theater comes back and absolutely
he's having a
kills
blast.
it, and he's having a blast, right? So that's what I would like to underscore as to what you're going to see. Is you're going to see a lot of people putting their best foot forward
because they want to be there.
Because they want to be there, and also just because they are talented, right? Like we have some wonderfully talented people in the cast, genuinely.
So is this going to make people be like, I love America, or is this going to be like,
I think
I'm ready for fireworks?
I think they're going to appreciate the material.
There's a certain amount of candor that I think is not rah rah sis boom ba go go America.
Yeah, there's a little rah rah, but it's more serious.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think anybody like. No one had the foresight of what it would be.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
That is heavily in the script. I mean, there's a whole song. It's called The Egg.
The Egg.
And it's Ben Franklin and Thomas Jefferson and John Adams just saying like, we are waiting to see what this idea is going to germinate and become.
What comes out of that egg?
And
that's hatch.
It's a really great.
It is
just metaphor.
It's one of my favorite songs.
It's very representative of the attitude that these men have throughout the show is like, we have our ideas of what we should do and blah, blah. I mean, John Adams is from the beginning of the show, he makes it very clear that he's got a lot of really strong opinions on what, independency should look like.
Yeah.
But, these are all men with opinions on how things are supposed to be right now in June of 1776. And they don't look at it. They only passingly a few times mention like posterity,
right?
About looking forward as what legacy will be,
right?
Correct.
And I think that just serves to keep that I don't want to say like propagandistic feel of like anything that when you do American history, like if you don't do it in a way that is like, red, white, and blue, stars and stripes forever type way, it that's the way that it feels really propagandistic, is like when it's entirely celebratory. The characters themselves don't look at what they're doing through the lens of legacy or posterity generally. They mention it. They know that if
also at the other end of
if they divorce from Great Britain, they'll be the first country to have done so. Like there's a little bit of lip service paid to that. But genuinely, they are discussing what's going to be good for their lives and their neighbors. And it's not about like, we're going to do the most monumental macroeconomic and world politics shaping thing.
Yep. But also everybody puts their name on that. Basically,
I was just going there.
Puts a target on their back.
I was just saying, in the script, it says, the character says, it's John Hancock's line. Come on, guys, get this sign because only and I'll be the only one to hang.
And my bar.
We hang. What was it? We hang alone, or we hang
separately.
Yeah. Or we hang separately. We all hang together or something. Yeah.
Because they're all going to hang.
Bar trivia fact that I've known since I was like a third grader is that John Hancock was the only person to put his signature on the Declaration on the 4th of July. Everybody else was like throughout the month of August, even some into September. He signed his name to the draft version, but the final version that made its way around to the entire Congress was not signed by everybody. The show takes a little license.
My ultimate sadness in the world is that my birthday is July 3rd. I wish it was the signing of the Declaration of Independence or the commemoration of it, but I'll take Tom Cruise.
But July 3rd is very important.
Yeah,
is very important because that's when this whole issue with the slavery clause being taken out.
Oh, that's why I'm controversial.
Because if that hadn't happened, the Declaration would have been signed. Correct.
No. Because of that unanimity clause, or not clause, but their structural voting decision that it had to be a unanimous vote.
Right.
South Carolina was not going to approve,
and it would fail.
And the
whole thing would.
One colony saying no would have sunk it. Same thing. Pennsylvania almost sunk it.
Yep.
The Quakers.
No,
they weren't there yet.
John Dickinson.
Oh, they were there.
Oh.
Again, John Dickinson.
The representative was Dickinson.
Okay. And so Dickinson was against independency and Franklin was for it, and the third representative was a guy. I'm not. It's real history, so I feel like I'm not really spoiling the show. But what he says in the show is germane to the conversation, which is that like he basically, didn't want to be the one man who scuttled the vote on independency. And that's kind of what it boiled down to.
Yeah.
Was like,
and that's how we got it.
Right? Like Pennsylvania by 2/3 internal majority voted for independence, and it could have been 2/3 internal majority to vote against independence, and then that declaration would not have been enacted.
Because when they called for a vote, they called the colony, not the individual.
Right. The colony of Pennsylvania, the colony of Virginia,
So
colony
each
of New York
had a vote.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter what each of the individual delegates thought. The delegation had to cast a vote. And Pennsylvania almost said no.
It's wild
isn't it?
It's wild how many it's like we could have taken a left turn or we could have taken a right turn, and
we could still be British subjects.
Yeah, it's almost like everything is almost like how close we came to like the Cuban Missile Crisis or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like
absolutely.
It's like one idiot not in one place, and this whole thing would have we would have all been living with the cockroaches.
Yeah.
We went about 2 hours.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit longer. Did it go by fast?
It did.
Max has no opinion.
I have no internal perception of time.
Oh, you're an artist. That's why.
And you know what? There's so much more. There's so much more that you want to say, but there is one thing I'd like to say.
Yeah, and then I want you to repeat all the details.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, I just want everyone to know how blessed and lucky we know we are.
Mm-hmm.
And if they see one show this year, please come and see 1776 because they're not going to be disappointed. And if they like shows like this, hopefully we could make enough money that maybe we could do another musical next year. Maybe this is the beginning of something new for us.
Would be nice.
I mean, it seems like everything's going well so far, and you don't want to jinx anything, and
Right.
you know what I mean. But I would, I would love that.
Yeah.
I would
like to do more.
Yeah, next year's The Sound of Music.
Oh God, that's the musical Bob and I met doing.
Well, that's apropos then.
Yeah,
We should do.
I'm not a big fan of the musical.
No, you didn't like
I got
Julie
him,
Andrews. No,
Yeah, I got hit. I didn't play the Julie Andrews role.
who were you?
Oh,
You were Van Trapp.
I played Elsa Schrader. I played the fiance that was cast away from Maria.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the details again for?
All right. So June 19, 20, 21, 25, 26, 27, 28. Thursday, Friday, Saturdays are at 7:30. Sunday matinees at 2. We are at the West Intermediate School on
1401 Fellows Avenue, Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Thank you. You can get tickets by calling 570-209-7766 or go on Actor Circle's website, go on the Diva Facebook page. There's a QR code. We can make it happen.
The link is weirdly readable, so I'll just read it out loud.
Okay.
Ticketscandy.com/e/1776-the-musical-18078. So if you go
Oh,
to
I
that,
thought.
that is a direct link to purchasing the tickets for the show if you would like to purchase them ahead of
Will
time.
somebody text that to me?
All of the promotion materials have that long link as well as a QR code that takes you to that link.
Yeah. It's user friendly.
It's very
Well, I'm going to put it all in the description
Thank
anyways.
you.
So any way
Thank
that you need, any way that you want to access the tickets, you can access the tickets. We're trying to make the show very easy to get to.
Well, it's also we have to, you have to change with the times.
Yes.
I'm old school. I've been around a long time.
You like to call the box office.
I call the box office.
Yeah.
I like to talk to people. But the generations after me, the phone is everything. They click on QR codes and that's how they get tickets. That's how they buy clothing. That's how they order food. That's a whole learning curve. I just not, I still, like
I get it.
I don't even do drive-throughs. I hate drive-throughs.
I totally
You know
get
what I
that.
mean?
There's a specific cohort age where the phone and the computer are for two different internet jobs. That's my cohort. Is the phone is for fun things and the computer is for big important things. So if you have an Amazon order that's more than $100, you're doing that on the computer.
Right.
If you're buying a plane ticket, you're doing that on the computer.
Right.
Anything else in the pocket. If you're younger than me, everything's on the phone.
There's a rumor that they might be pulling the phones out of the schools. I've heard.
It's not a rumor. That's a bill that got passed through the legislature.
Yeah.
At least one of the houses of the Pennsylvania
As
State Legislature.
as a public educator, how do you feel about that?
We have had a building rule in my building since I got hired that the students needed to have their phones locked and in their lockers, and it's my favorite part about the building
Because they talk to each other.
So there's lots of reasons, but that's one of them. Cyberbullying is the most rampant form of bullying among teens right now. So it's really, really easy to be rude to people when you can text anybody in a group chat at any time, anything that you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's much harder to...
Like during the school day?
Yeah,
Yes.
big time. It's much harder
That
to
starts shit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's much harder to catch cyberbullying than more traditional forms of bullying. When somebody's getting their butt kicked in a bathroom, you can tend to figure that out really quickly. But if somebody's sending mean Instagram DMs to somebody else, it's really, really hard to know that. It's also just decreases distraction by an unending degree. I have worked in buildings where students are just allowed to have their phones.
It fascinated me that they let it into the
And
degree
the
they let
number
it
of
in.
classrooms that I've seen where just students are just like head down on the desk.
Yeah.
And like what?
When I grew up, we couldn't have a calculator because we might cheat.
Right. So
Yeah, you can't bring in your Bell Atlantic or whatever the hell they're called. Texas Instruments.
Texas.
Yeah.
It also enables this weird like individualistic response to big problems. So like the big argument is always like, well, what if there's, and sadly in America, it's something you got to think about. What if there's, an active shooter problem? And it's like, well, in events like that, having everybody with access to a phone actually creates more chaos than it solves problems. So it's actually helpful in emergency situations to not have that extra, element. If there's a disaster or, I worked at a school where there was a serious bomb threat, we had to evacuate. Everybody in the evacuation area was having trouble communicating with the police because all of the kids had their phones and were trying to call mom.
The bandwidth.
It bogged down the bandwidth from the one cell tower that serviced that geographic area. So yeah, it's actually a good thing.
And I think
it's weird. It's like a
I think you'll find most schools are that way. I know where I am at Old Forge. The kids can keep their phone on their person, but they're not allowed to use it all through the school day. They can use it at their lunch period, before school and after school.
And that's the law that went through is they call it like the bell to bell or whatever.
Right,
so it's academic, it's classes and it's per classroom.
Yeah.
So I think it's got exceptions for things like the lunchroom, for after school clubs, for whatever. And I don't know all the details on it because I have been trying to not look at it and get my hopes up until it's actually signed into law and enacted. But it's Are
the students going to get a chance to see this like during a school day or?
Oh
no,
not during the school day.
So the school let out yesterday. Actually, Scranton School District is their last day.
I should know that.
Was yesterday.
Why didn't I know that?
But we made it financially reasonable for kids to come, student, tickets.
$25 general admission, $15 for seniors and students and veterans.
Because we want them there. We want them to see it.
Again, if you want to come see this show, there's a way to do it.
And we're selling a lot of student tickets.
Yes.
That's awesome.
It is. I'm very impressed.
Yeah.
Paige, Max, I'm so excited for you guys.
Thank you.
And I think this is going to be cool. And I hope this isn't the last time we speak. And because I know it's going to be a great success.
Thank you so much.
Did you guys have fun?
Oh, it was a blast. I loved it.
All right. I still love you. I love everything about you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. That's it, everybody. Thank you.